Hit 'em with that.
Oh man, I'm excited.
What day is it even?
It is not Thursday.
No, it clearly not.
Yeah, no, absolutely isn't Thursday. But that's fine. It's okay because we're gonna do this, and it's a little weird because we've got a John Mez 5000 and our Stray Frey girl on the show today.
And we're here to nerd to wait. What day is it again?
The show hasn't even started yet, man. All right,
I don't know. Thanks, and keep nerding to no.
We got merch, people.
We got merch, people. Shit.
We should get this intro down.
Move along.
Let's just start the show. Let's just get it started, all right?
Let's do this.
Distance nerding.
Hey! Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, yes. We are here. It is time. It is a weird morning because normally, this is normally Thursday. It's not Thursday. Today's Monday.
Yeah.
It is 11 o'clock in the morning.
It's 1 p.m. here.
On the West Coast.
On the best coast.
Which is the best.
Oh, here we go. I'm not on a coast, so I guess that's
Exactly.
Still, that's
Exactly.
Okay.
You can admit that the West Coast is the best.
Yeah.
And ladies and gentlemen, we are here for the build. It is not the download. Yes, the download is still happening tomorrow.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
So many.
Like 2 days in a row. Like real jobs, people. Real jobs.
I know. We're going to have 3 shows and a whole bunch of game streams this week, so it's nuts.
This is fun because this is going to be an exciting, fun, special, very special episode of the build. This is great.
James
you
says
need to
that
borrow
because-
my glasses.
James says that because he's on the show. So
Yeah,
he's saying
exactly.
it's a special fun episode because I'm here.
No, it's
That's-
fun because Raggedy Ann has decided to be my co-host.
Yeah, no, this show is still not the same without Graveyard, but Graveyard's working. So
Right.
And
It's
he
so much-
also cannot
it's so
be
much
seen
better.
during the day, only at night.
It's so much better.
Exactly. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you are now watching the build. Of course, I'm your boy, Young Phil. Joining me today, John Mez 5000 for the second time in 3 years on the build. And of course, our
welcome.
frequent build collaborator, the Frey girl.
I just am very opinionated.
It's great that our regular download cast is on an episode of The Build for once.
Oh, this is a very special build episode brought to you by The Download.
Brought to you by The Download. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, before we jump into that, let's talk about sponsors. Let's talk about trying to keep the lights on because it's kind of what we need to do. This channel, everything we do here is brought to you by Poddex. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Poddex are a unique interview question and episode starting prompt in the palm of your hand. Whether you are a new podcaster or an existing broadcaster looking to grow your audience or get more engagement, level up with Poddex. Head over to your app store of choice, download the Poddex app, use the code NERDING10. You get 10% off of merch, 10% off of your subscription, whatever it is that you want to use for Poddex, and we will do it. Now, normally, this is where Graveyard gives us our question of the day, but I don't think Jamez has any pod decks.
I
Nope.
don't have any
You got 'em.
podcasts, but I can ask a question.
Well, actually, okay. So I'm gonna pull up. If you want to ask a question, go for it.
My question
podcasts.
of today is: if you could be a superhero or villain
Uh-huh.
for one day,
Only for one day.
only for one day,
Damn it.
what ordinary task would be harder for you to accomplish?
Oh my God, that is amazing, James.
I just came up with it. I hadn't thought about it at all.
I
and
need
it
you to
just
write
came out
that
of my
down.
mouth.
Yeah, I need you to write that down because we're using that at the show. I'm telling you that. Gem
Okay.
State. We're asking everybody that at Gem State.
All right,
Hey,
I'm gonna.
hey, this is
let
being
me Write
recorded.
it down because I won't ever remember
Yeah.
it again.
James, what's your answer?
I
He didn't hear the question.
yeah, I was too busy looking for my podcast.
Walking around naked.
What would be the worst thing?
No. So
like
what
the
ordinary
most
task?
ordinary thing, like brushing your teeth, shaving, something like that? What would be like? What superhero would you be,
Uh-huh.
and what would be the most ordinary thing that would be difficult for you? Like I'll do this because Superman is a good
Oh, I got it.
example. We've seen it. Yeah,
Okay, go ahead.
Superman shaving. He has to shave with his heat vision. Like we've seen him do that. So it's like that's an ordinary thing that people take for granted. But as a superhero, he's had to change the way he does it. So what superhero would you be, and what would the ordinary task that you'd be like, damn it?
My powers would be like Mr. Fantastic, where I could stretch around and I'd get super lazy and not leave the couch. So my arms and legs would be like all over the house, like trying to get into the kitchen, into the refrigerator, knocking things over because I can't see it, And then
Mhm.
like my wife and kids would get super angry at me because they'd always be tripping over my arms and stuff because I'm like, oh, Dad's in the kitchen again trying to get stuff out of the pantry and he's tripping the dog, that sort of thing. Or like my arm would get stuck, like I'd be like outside mowing while I'm inside, right? And then somebody would shut the door on my arm. I'd be like, what the? That's
Keep in mind, I don't want to rant too much on this, just because we do
Right,
have
yeah.
a guest. So
we have, Marie is waiting in the wings, so we do need to.
you guys asked me.
No, I know.
I know,
Very well.
but I also realized I was like, oh man, we can rant on this forever.
Don't cut me off.
In on
Don't
this.
give me the light from the back of the room.
We let you answer. All right. We're
Okay.
gonna put a pin in this because I do
All
want to answer this. This is a great question, but I do have one more sponsor that we got to bring up here, guys. So you may be wondering to yourself all the time, because I know everybody in the chat does and everybody who's on the show does, where does young Phil get all of this energy? How is he always amped up 24/7 all the time? I'm going to tell you what it is, ladies and gentlemen. Young Phil is all hopped up on Mountain Dew. Oh no, never mind. Young Phil is hopped up on
Baja Blast.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Dubby is a brand of energy drinks created to help focus, concentration, reaction time with no jitters or crash. Dubby contains no maltodextrin, no sugars, no fillers, no artificial colors or dyes. Now, you may be wondering to yourself, what just makes it different from other gaming supplements? I'll tell you what it is. Dubby contains Neurofactor. Neurofactor is a neurotropic derived from the coffee fruit. Neurofactor helps give your
brain focus and clarity, while the 150 milligrams of caffeine and 3 essential B vitamins help you stay alert and energized. Find out more about Debbie at www.debbie.gg and use the code NERDING10 to get 10% off your order. Ladies and gentlemen, I just did that entire copy off the top of my head. All right, that is great.
You're
this
cutting
is
me off.
why we don't let him read copy, because he memorizes it, and then when we change things, he doesn't know.
It's a gift and a curse. So this today, I'm actually going to try a new flavor. I'm not going to take too long to do this, but just got a brand new flavor in, guys. It is called Aniba Elixir, and it is a sour gummy flavor.
Oh,
okay.
Diabetes in a jar. That's great.
Well, I mean, there's no sugar in it, so it is not diabetes in a jar.
That is true. It just gets other stuff in there. So something else in a jar. Gummy in a jar. I don't know. Anyway, let's do. Do you have that? Is there a watermelon flavor? No, don't do watermelon.
No, so I'm actually just gonna do this flavor by itself.
Oh, I thought we were mixing and matching.
No.
Never mind.
Just so that I can try this one for the first time and kind of do that. But while I'm getting this all together, let's introduce our guest.
Oh, we have a
Hooray.
guest. That's right. Yeah.
Let's do it.
Oh my god,
Right.
it's like grape and blueberry in this.
She's like amazing. First of all, I have never met her, and I already know we're gonna be BFF
Just
forever.
looking at her IMDb, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And she's from a small town in Idaho, y'all. Kellogg. Yay! We love that. We love small towns here. She's an actress, a voiceover artist, voicing, and I'm gonna say all these names wrong, so sorry. Hanami in Jujutsu Kaisen, Dorio in Cyberpunk Edgerunner, Maria in Baki Hanma, Young Runway in Rogue Company, Sergeant Jaxo in Star Wars The Old Republic, and a lot more that we could spend the whole freaking hour she's going to be here saying, but we're not. So, everyone, welcome Maria Westbrook.
Marie Westbrook. Yes.
I mean, Marie Westbrook, sorry.
Yay.
Hi! Oh my
Hi.
gosh, you guys are so hilarious.
Are you coming from like your actual recording sound booth?
I'm in my sound booth.
Oh,
Yes.
how cool is that?
And I was trying to decide, should I go out there? But I figured the sound is going to be better, even though I don't have the door closed. It's kind of open to give a little bit more light because we're on this podcast. But yes,
Right.
this is my sound booth. This is where I spend a good portion of the day.
I feel like
And
a
you sound
field trip.
amazing.
Thank
It's a good
you.
booth.
She
It's
just
nicer.
she wants to make sure that she doesn't put herself in the dungeon while she's talking to us, because then it's weird.
Yeah, not
'Cause
fully.
This is not work. This is fun.
Oh
You
my
would have
gosh. Well, the best thing is my work is fun. You know what I
That's
mean?
true.
When I'm doing work,
That's
my
awesome.
husband jokes with me all the time. He's like, "Your days are just so much different than mine."
Well, it's true. Like what they say, the old adage of find what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. You know what I mean?
Yep.
There you
100%.
go.
100%. Yep.
So
How cool is that? So that's a studio in your house that you
Yep.
built.
It's inside my office. We had to build, this is a whisper room. We had to build it in the room. There's no getting this inside the room once it's already built. You have to build it. And that was crazy because I think I was like 8.5 months pregnant. We were moving into the house. And I remember it's these panels, it's double walled and it's really heavy. So my husband had to call a friend over to help. And then I remember at one point I had just a giant, probably like 2 by 8 or whatever that was to step on, to use as leverage to lift something up because I
Oh my
couldn't
gosh.
help any other way. So, but it's built and it's been, I don't know.
and I mean that's
years.
also a big thing, like especially late pregnancy. All you want to do is nest and build and like clean and paint and you're not supposed to do any of it. Like
I know,
so-
right? It's true. It's true. And we did all of that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But you can point and tell people like that doesn't go there. That goes over
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
Yeah. And nobody's going to, get mad at me. Well,
Yeah.
you're not doing anything. I don't have to.
Exactly.
You, but when James tries to do that, it's like, no, put that over there, do that. We're just like, shut up, James.
Excuse me.
We're like, you got legs, you got arms, go get it yourself.
Yeah, exactly. What are you doing back there? What is happening up there? What are you
he's doing
building?
Legos.
Oh yeah, give a quick update, young Phil, on what you're building, where
All
you're
right.
at with it.
So I am currently building the Friends apartments.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I mean, although
That's
that could
freaking
also
amazing.
be like the Big Bang Theory, just from the angle that you showed.
And
Like that could also, that's a
I
couch.
could tell that was Joy and Chandler's.
they're probably making that soon. I guarantee
yeah.
you they're making a Big Bang Theory apartments.
That would be cute.
This is the hallway.
Oh, that's cool.
That's so awesome.
Right. So those are all done right there. I'm getting now into building the girls' apartment.
Women.
Oh,
women's
that's
apartment.
cool. That's cool. So that's the whole gimmick with our show, Marie, is that young Phil's building Legos, and we're talking to cool people, and we're just having a fun conversation.
What could be better?
We basically
What could be
ignore
better?
Phil
Absolutely.
until he says something, and then occasionally he says, "Oh, I built something," and we go, "Good for you, good for you, little Phil."
You know, it's like
That is
everybody just like claps their hands, and there's just like,
Oh, golf
hey,
clap.
happy for me. That kind
Yeah,
of thing.
exactly. That's what I was doing. Golf clap.
The show only gets better when somebody comes from an actual professional voice studio. So
Oh yeah.
I'm just saying,
Here we are.
You made the show even better.
Well, thank you.
For all of us
No worries.
amateurs here.
Oh, I
we
wanted to
know.
tell you, I was born in Kellogg and grew up in Soda Springs, which are on the
Oh, okay.
opposite ends of Idaho, which there's no way really of knowing that. I don't know if it says it. So anyway, just for all the Idaho people, when I'm going to Gem State, that they will definitely know. I lived up in northern Idaho for a few years and then moved to southeastern Idaho, Soda Springs, and that's where I spent the rest of my childhood from like 4 to 18. So I'm super excited to go back.
I lived in Blackfoot, Idaho for a
Oh
little
yeah,
while.
that's close to Soda Springs.
Yeah, and I was really young, so I barely remember it. But so I'm actually going to be there, so we'll actually get to see each other in person.
Then we get to meet in person. Yay! I'm
Yay!
so excited. I'm seriously so excited to go. I have nieces and nephews coming, and just
That's
hopefully I'll
awesome.
see some other friends, some siblings. It's going to be awesome. Yeah.
Oh,
I'm
that'll be
excited.
great.
It's
Yeah.
great. 'Cause
Awesome.
I was just re-listening to the it's been so long, but we still haven't released the episode that we did with you live, but I was re-listening to it because I was like, oh, let me listen to everything that we that
That's so funny.
and everything like that. And it just like brought things back for me. And I'm like, oh God,
Yeah.
we need to release this episode like in the next week.
Yeah,
That is, or we could just talk about it now.
exactly. Right.
Yeah, exactly. Redo.
All right, so let's dive in. So speaking of Idaho and growing up, before we get into the voice acting part, let's learn about you. We have a segment on our show called "Growing Up Geeky."
Okay.
What did you geek out on back in Kellogg, Idaho?
And Soda Springs, yeah.
And
Well,
Soda
and
Springs.
Kellogg and up there, I was so little. I don't even remember running around outside. So in Soda Springs, there's lots of Idaho is all about the outdoors. So we were doing all sorts of activities. I grew up skiing and hiking and just like riding my bike across town whenever I wanted until it was dark. that whole life, way back when.
Back
And
Yeah.
90s when we could do that.
But that
Yeah,
was always the
exactly.
thing. It was like when you could vaguely hear your mother in the distance and you were like, oh wow, oh yeah, it's almost dark, I gotta get home. Like that was
Guess we
that
better
was it.
go. Yep.
Yeah. And now it's like, I'm texting you, are you ever coming like the kids and stuff.
Yeah, I know. Or I can't even imagine. I have 2 small kids and
Yeah,
no. It's
let's
different. It's
get
different life.
out of that anxiety little
Yeah.
pitfall there, and we'll just
Yeah.
do something else, okay?
It is kind of weird because like we were riding bikes, my kids and I, and like I'm like, don't leave my sight, don't you turn that corner.
Yeah.
Whereas like when I was growing up, my parents are like, where's that one kid that we had?
Yeah.
It's been like 3 days since we saw
Have you
him.
seen him? Yeah.
Yeah.
Is
They
it
would tell you, go get lost for like 3 days, okay?
Yeah.
No,
exactly.
so this is a little TMI. When I was 5, my mom, I was a very willful child. I know, imagine that. But my mom was trying to get me ready for a bath. I decided that I didn't want to take a bath, completely naked, got on my trike, trike to a playground, like a
Oh my
local
gosh.
playground,
Yeah.
and was sitting on my trike when they found me.
Oh
and
my
I'm like,
gosh.
I could have died.
Oh, yeah.
now.
Yes, so many things could have happened in that
Right. Yeah.
process.
There are so many, like, I could have been kidnapped so many times.
Was this in
as a child,
Blackfoot?
so- No, I think that was it may have been Blackfoot, actually. We were on a military base.
Ah, got it.
My dad was in the Navy at the time. So it was pretty insulated, but it
Yeah.
was still like, you never
Still,
know.
let's
So
not
yeah.
go trucking across town.
I think
Yeah.
all of us are overreacting to being neglected as children. So we're like, you
Yeah.
have to be right next to us all the time. So.
Yeah, I think that's
Hold on.
very
I gotta chime in. We'll get back to Marie's childhood, but hold on. Did you say that you're on a Navy base in Idaho?
No, not well, yeah, Idaho. When we lived in Idaho, my dad worked.
Why does
for the
Idaho need a
Navy.
Navy?
I've
They had
always thought that.
schools.
There's Navy
There's
bases.
a Top Gun. I mean, not Top Gun. Oh my God. My son is obsessed with Top Gun. Air Force. Navy Top Gun. And there, yeah, but there's also Air Force.
Okay.
Yeah,
Lot of
he
Air Force
was
out
in the
there.
Navy, but he was teaching chemistry at that
Got it.
time. So he actually taught at a school for because he worked in a nuclear submarine. So he had that. Yeah,
That's
I
amazing.
had a really interesting. I had been in a submarine before I could walk, and so they basically threw me down a porthole to get me into the submarine when I was a baby. Yeah, I had a really interesting childhood. But this is not about me. This is about you, Marie. Let's talk
That's
about
fascinating.
you.
Well, that's fascinating. I definitely have some of the I had some nerdy interests and background for sure. I mean, I grew up with, loving, I don't even consider it nerd. I consider it awesome, but enjoying watching Star Wars, and I watched Star Trek. I had brothers, and so I did all those things. And I also I didn't grow up being super into science. In fact, it was hard for me. I remember having to work, or math was, but I was good at it, but I had to work really hard at it. But I ended up graduating with a physics and chemistry degree, and I was a teacher, and I worked at space camp. So those were my nerd things. I worked at space camp right after college for a few months, which was freaking awesome because as a kid, that's one thing I really wanted to do, is go to space camp.
Yeah,
I was so badly.
I was
Me
going to skip
too.
over to that question. I was going to say, like, so you didn't really nerd out on science then, because you got a degree in physics and chemistry. Like, how did you choose that route?
Because I had Jill Marshall was my professor at the time. She was my first physics professor. I'd never taken a physics class, and it just was fascinating to me. It was I think I was actually on the track to do elementary ed at the time, and I thought it was so incredible. And she ended up being my mentor, and ended up working on a bunch of physics education research projects with her. And that was when I changed my major, was because of my professor.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Wow.
That tells you also
Hands up
what
for
one
teachers,
person
professors.
can do
Yeah.
to help, to really
guide, to
awaken
steer.
something in you. Yeah, that's awesome.
Wow.
Yep.
We are very different types of nerds. You have physics and chemistry like degrees. I just like cartoons,
I mean, I like cartoons too.
Okay.
I like science. I'm a science guy.
There you go. There you go.
I like science, and I used to do experiments in my house. My mom would find them, and that was fun. But I love history, so I'm like a huge history nerd. So you can nerd out about anything.
Yeah, it's true.
And that's what's great. And you can find common ground with other people because you understand nerding in a way that other people may not. And so, but you can say, oh, you nerd out about this. That's fantastic. I nerd out about this. Let's be nerds together. I mean, I think that's the whole reason we started all of this, right? Because everybody likes to nerd out.
Yeah.
James, Phil.
Always. Yeah.
Okay.
but that's exactly it. That's kind of why we started doing what we do, is because we wanted to connect with different audiences and connect with different people, and just everybody be connected over like mutual nerddom.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yay.
I think that's hugely important right now too. I feel like there's a lot of kids. Well, it's expanded now that the internet has happened. People can find each other and like-minded people, but exactly just like this. And then you don't feel so alone. You think like, oh, I'm really into, whatever it is thing. And is this weird because some other kid told me it's weird? And no, like there's a bunch of people that think that's cool.
Right. Exactly. But when we were all growing up, we didn't know. We were, in our little school, reading our little comics or our science magazines, or, what's the auto one? Like not Auto Trader, but the Car and Driver magazine or
Popular
whatever.
Mechanic. No, that
Popular Mechanics, yeah. So
my dad loves that
we
one.
were all nerding about stuff. We just didn't realize that were nerding just about other stuff. So yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So let's also
So
talk
how
about
did
some other stuff.
how
Thank
did
you,
the
Aaron.
how did the degree from with physics and chemistry? How did you end up in acting and voice acting? Seems like a big switch.
Doesn't it seem so natural though? It's like that's the next
Yeah,
step.
right.
Seriously,
Science.
my kids were asked so funny because this afternoon I'm going to my youngest son. I have 2 kids. I have my younger one's a little boy. He's in kindergarten, and I happen to be going to the class later today for it's like career month. They're talking about, so I'm going to be talking about this. And they were
Aw.
asking this morning, "What does mommy do? What does she do for a job?" She works, and then yeah, I work. Doing what? She's a voiceover worker.
Yeah.
That could be a couple different things.
Yes,
So,
there's a huge
there's worker can imply some other things. So and then my daughter asked me, she's like, but you didn't know that you wanted to do this when you were little, did you? Did you want to do this when you were little? And I got to explain the story to them about how, no, I grew up in a small town, again, back before the internet was out there to see there's all these other things. I feel like now we can kind of people are able to do more, have a connection to more things and learn about more things. And so I was going to be a teacher. My parents were teachers. I was going to be a teacher. And that's kind of what I thought about. It never even occurred to me that real people had the job of being a voice actor. I didn't even think about it, right? I watched cartoons, but I just never thought about it. But then in college, I had an opportunity really super randomly. That's sort of a different story, but so I'll just like quickly, somebody approached me and got into like a modeling thing, which was also another thing that I was like, what? And I sort of went down that track for a second, but that wasn't my vibe. I'm also 5'3". It's like, but because of that, I learned about acting. They were like, hey, have you ever taken an acting class? So while I was in college, I was taking acting classes and enjoying that, but I knew I wanted to finish my degree. And that was the game plan, right? I was going to do this. Even though this was fun over here, I was going to do this. So eventually I got into the acting world. I taught space camp, taught school for a year, taught 8th grade science. And then afterwards I was like, oh my gosh, I need to be doing, mad respect for teachers, by the way, mad respect.
Yes.
But that wasn't for me. And I knew I wanted to be doing other things. At the time, I was still waiting tables on the weekends to make ends meet. And so I was like, look, I'll keep waiting tables and maybe I'll pursue this acting thing. I was living in Salt Lake City at the time, which actually has quite a big film industry because they had a lot of incentives and things at the time. A lot of things come in there.
Okay.
So I got into that world, started acting, got my SAG card, and then I moved to Seattle because that's where you go.
Yeah.
I don't know. I moved to Seattle because I was getting out of that life, and I moved to Seattle, but I knew I was only going to be there for a short time. I had a lot of family up in the Pacific Northwest. And then I knew, I was like, August 18th, I'm moving to LA. I set the date because I knew you could say, well, it's going to happen. It's sometime. It's like August 18th. It's happening. Sure enough, as it got closer, I was like, oh. So I moved to LA. But right before I moved, here's the answer to the question. Right before I moved, I got a voiceover audition from my on-camera agent for Nintendogs. And I was like, voiceover? What? How do I do this? And I contacted a friend, said, I have to record this. How? And he said, go to this other friend of mine, call him and he'll do it for you. So we did. We had to put it on a CD and then I had to drive it to my agent's office.
Oh, wow.
And I was super stressed at the movie. And I remember thinking, there's no way I'm going to get this. And it was so stressful because I didn't know what I was doing. And anyway, I ended up booking it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And then I moved out to LA and my kind of second voiceover audition, again, through my on-camera agent, was Star Wars The Old Republic. And I booked that. And my agent said, maybe you should get a voiceover agent. So in fact, and that didn't come so easy. It wasn't easy just I need a voiceover agent. You're signed. No, it wasn't quite that easy, but I did eventually get one. And then I stopped doing on camera and I have only been doing voiceover for the last 11 or 12 years. So I love it because
awesome.
I love that I can be Maria. I can be Hanami. You've seen what those characters look like.
Oh my God.
Amazing.
We're talking about Hanami later, but I mean, that's exactly that. Like Hanami,
I love it.
such a polar opposite of just visually, the polar opposite of what you
Yeah,
would expect.
in so many ways. It's this masculine body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
so
expect Hanmi to come out of you.
yeah. But before we get on to Matt's question, what was it like working on the sequel to Titanic? I have a question
my
for
God.
you that's going to be odd because I do ask the odd questions.
Okay.
And the question is, what is the weirdest thing you've worn while doing voiceover work?
Oh my gosh.
I'm talking like
I mean-
fuzzy slippers. I'm
Oh, yeah.
talking to like glitter in your hair. I'm talking weird. Something like you were just like, well, nobody's going to see me, so I can just wear this.
I feel like that just happens all the time. Constantly. Because I'd also do a lot of promo work, which is like, hey, we need this right now. We need this line.
Yeah.
I just ran into
Yeah,
my booth,
yeah.
record it. I'm constantly in, oh my gosh, constantly in pajamas, workout clothes, a robe. I mean, I'm looking down here. I have my Peloton shoes, flip flops, because I have to work barefoot. I don't know why.
yeah.
I don't even think about it. I kick off my shoes in here, and then later when I'm looking for my shoes, I come in and
Oh, that's interesting.
shoes. I just found one flip flop that I think I gave up on it. I threw the other one away because I finally found one like underneath this little thing in
That's
here.
funny.
That's
God,
probably been there for a year.
I relate so much to what you're saying right now. Like when I'm doing this show, I have to be in sweats and socks.
Yeah.
If I'm in like
I love
normal
it.
clothes, it just feels weird for me.
And see, on the opposite, I have to have pants on. Like I have to wear. Like
I feel
I'm
like I
wearing.
do have.
Well,
Capri
I don't.
pants,
When
but
I
I
do
don't have
shows,
any-
I definitely don't.
Let's
Yeah.
see. Let's see.
He's Porky Pigging it right now.
Oh man.
Donald Duck. Donald Duck or something. Easy. Okay, let's keep it PG. Let's keep it PG.
No, but I never wear shoes in the house, so I totally understand.
Me
I'm
too.
always like, "Where is my shoe?" I think that's like the second question too. Where's my phone? And it's usually in my hand.
I was
but,
just
you
gonna
know.
say that's usually my first one, and I'm constantly clicking my Apple Watch, trying to
Mhm.
find my phone. My husband's always like, "Oh my gosh, the amount of times you do that in the day," and it's right in front of me.
Always. So
Yeah.
All right, now let's see. Matt had asked, what was it like working on the sequel to Titanic?
Okay, well let's be honest. It wasn't the actual sequel to Titanic. It was called Titanic 2. It was a sci-fi, like Sharknado kind of a vibe, like same sort
Yes.
of production company made it.
Yeah.
And I got to work. This is probably near the end of my on-camera days. I mean, here's the thing. We had so much fun on set. If you've watched it, Shane Van Dyke was my it's Dick Van Dyke's grandson, actually. He was my we were both the leads. He wrote it. And I remember him saying like they changed the script so much. So in between takes, it's super serious. All this crazy serious stuff's happening. We were dying laughing. We were getting ready. They were telling us to go. And I was like trying so hard not to laugh because he has this dry sense of humor. And we were laughing our way through it because we were, because it was all funny. But then it was really funny to go in and then be serious. So anyway, basically it was a lot of fun. I feel like there are 3 films, I'm trying to think, that I ended up working on where I would have to be submerged in water in some way for extended periods of time. I worked on a movie where I was tied to a chair, gagged with like duct tape,
Oh my gosh.
and who now is my best friend in the world. Her name is Ava Gaudette. She had to throw me in the pool multiple times. And
Oh
right
my
before
God.
we'd say go, she's like, I'm so sorry. And then she's like, throw me in the pool. Boom. And this happened. I was living in LA, but it happened to film in Salt Lake. So we were in Salt Lake in November
Oh my
outside
gosh.
getting thrown into a pool.
Oh, that's
Like
crazy.
Yeah.
polar ice
Over
plunge.
and over.
Oh.
Slap. Because I couldn't hold on. I can't catch myself.
I 100% guarantee if you name the movies, Graveyard has seen them both.
Yes.
That one is called Evil Angel. I don't even know where that ended up going, but it had Ving Rhames in it.
that's
Of course, my
cool.
friend Ava. So we had, I got to work with some fun people.
I just picture like takes over and over again of I'm so sorry, and just you plunging into the water.
I'm so sorry.
nonstop.
I'm so sorry. I would do that too, though. I'd be like, I'm so sorry.
I know.
I have to do this.
I know. And then I have to get all dried off right? That's another thing. You get up, get all dried off, and do it again.
Yeah.
And then an entire day of underwater filming me, like drowning basically.
Oh my gosh.
But that was in an indoor pool, fortunately.
Well, I mean, but that's good. So at least it was indoor because, you know.
The Titanic one was outside. Yeah. I remember
Oh, no.
Bruce Davison and I were like hanging out in between takes, just shouting Oscar nominated actor. Yeah.
Graveyard's show, Graveyard show, pot out at night, is their theme is they watch bad movies so you don't have to.
Bad horror movies. Like they
You've
watch.
probably seen all the things that I've done.
But, you know, I think it's so fun doing like just being in the the atmosphere of movies, and I'm sure like, you know, you have experienced that, and just like, and so at some point you're just like, this is so ridiculous and I don't care, you know, like I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna do the best that I can.
Exactly.
And if it's good, it's good. If it's not, you know what, it was fun. And so, you know, you got to take it that way. You can't just be like,
absolutely. And when people want to chime in and say like, oh, you know, have their I think to myself, you know what kind of movie you're getting yourself into when you're watching that. You understand this is like filmed in 2 weeks. Like this is not some intentional Oscar nominated movie, right? It's supposed to be this way. And of course we know that. We know that. Of course we have to act serious, but we're still having fun. We still get to act. We still get to be on screen. We still get to enjoy each other. And I got to meet a lot of cool people that way. I've worked with a lot of us actors that have come up, and now my friends that are doing, you know, some big things. So it's an interesting life, the way that my life took.
It's really, and it's so fun to just live your life, and when you get the opportunities to be able to do them. So that's awesome.
I think the only exception to that rule is Wing Commander and Freddie Prinze Jr., because he literally said they changed the script like the day they came in there, and he was like, "This isn't the movie that I read."
If we ever get through a show without Phil mentioning either Freddie Prinze Jr. or Ryan Reynolds, I feel like the world will end.
Yeah.
Are you a big fan of those guys?
Yes.
I love them.
Ryan Reynolds is basically my my man god, and
yes,
I can see that. I get that.
Yeah,
I mean, I cosplay as Deadpool. I'm pretty sure you saw that cosplay.
I'm pretty sure if he ever met Ryan Reynolds and had like a few drinks in him, Phil, he probably would lick Ryan Reynolds' cheek.
I think you do it anyway. Are you kidding me?
Like.
The least of things that I would do.
Who wouldn't want to lick Ryan Reynolds' cheek?
And I wouldn't. I would not want to lick Ryan Reynolds.
And I am a cis hetero man. So I mean, and then Freddie Prinze Jr., handsome dude, but more so because a lot of things I love a lot of from my childhood. There are a lot of things that I love that he did, but then also, you know, when I learned that he was a writer for WWE and all that other stuff, because I'm a big wrestling fan, so it's like all that kind of stuff, just kind of like, you know, him in Star Wars, like just kind of everything that he's done has made me a bigger fan of his over the years. And listening to his interviews and hearing him talk about like, Wing Commander, that's the only movie I ever regret making.
That's so well, I can see that. If you think you're going on, so that's the difference between Titanic 2 and like Wing Commander. If you think you're going in for something, you're like, look, this is cool. I love this script. I feel like I'm going to be a part of something that's over here, right? And then it shifts into something you weren't expecting. I can absolutely see why that would be a shock and, you know, irritating. I don't even know how you would handle that. And didn't he get into marketing, I swear, or advertise some sort of like completely the business side of the world? I feel like my husband told me that because he's in ad sales.
I feel like he does a lot. Yeah, he's
does
really
podcasting and acting right now.
Yeah, and like he talks about horror movies too, so he's like a huge
awesome
movie fan. So, but he won't come on the show apparently because we talk about Star Wars occasionally. So
yeah, it's interesting, and let's talk about your Star Wars experience, because we were talking about Freddie Prinze Jr. and he had a weird backlash of people from fans that are not fans of his role in Star Wars. What was your experience like on Star Wars?
On the Old Republic, on the game?
Yeah.
So I mean, I feel like it's also hard because it was such a that was my first real big voiceover thing. I was so nervous going into every session thinking, am I doing this right? I wanted to look at the director. Am I doing this right? Is everything okay? And he was telling me everything was going great, but I was so worried. And we all know that reading this script was not some cakewalk.
Yeah.
There's so many words, like chorus and just so many things. I remember having to like tongue twisters because all these Star Wars words, right? So I enjoyed the process a ton. My brother actually my brother's a software engineer. He got to beta test it. He sent in the stuff. He got to beta test,
Oh,
and he was
that's
looking for
cool.
my character, and it was the end of his beta test time. He's like, Maria, I haven't found it. And I was like, oh, maybe I'm in the trooper class because I wasn't sure.
Yeah,
He was
right.
like, oh my gosh, that's a totally different one. So we finally found me. But my character is also very flirtatious. So he's like, don't worry, I completely turned down all your advances. But then afterwards, I think it was my character had a big sort of what's the word? There was a big choice to make where you either save Jaxo, which becomes pulling on the heartstrings. And I'm like, please don't, save Jaxo, and then like 200 people die, or you save the 200 people and Jaxo dies. And some people were like, I stopped playing after that. I
Oh,
didn't,
no.
I couldn't just, that wrecked me. And so it was really interesting to hear people's feedback for that, because that was a big decision. And I loved the fact that they, some people felt so sort of drawn or attached to my character that it was that difficult of a decision to make.
So interesting. So can you walk us through the experience? Because you mentioned that was like your first big role. It was like your second voice acting role. What was it like going from like, hey, I'm getting dunked into this Titanic 2 pool. Maybe I should stick to this voice acting thing. And all of a sudden you're part of Star Wars, like
I
what was
know.
going through your brain? Like, do you have to go to school for voice acting as well, or no?
Yeah. So I did take classes, but I'm trying to think if I had taken them. I think that I had taken one, but I had started officially taking classes after I booked Star Wars, because that's when I thought, all right, maybe this is something I should pursue. I've really booked two things. And then I learned after that, you don't book every audition.
You're like, it's so easy. Just everything.
I know. I think
Like, bam,
the
bam, bam,
universe
bam.
saying, Marie, look over here, look over here, So it was really, I really loved it, obviously, because after that is when I wanted to really pursue it. But it was definitely a shift, and it was nice to not have to worry about my face and my, being on screen and being it was really nice not having anything to do with looks or, or being typecast in that way. And so I enjoyed that component of it, and then getting to go in and read. And I've always been a TV mocker. Something will come on TV, and I do it now. I'll sit there and watch something, and then afterwards I'm like, like, or remember the one was like, it was a long time ago. Don't hate me because I'm beautiful.
Yeah.
afterwards,
Oh, yeah.
I'll repeat myself because somebody will say a line a certain way, and I'm like, and I do it constantly. And I would make little voices as a kid. I would be talking to myself in all these different voices. And so I think it was something that I enjoyed being able to do. And I remember for my audition, I did a really authoritative, now I didn't know it at the time, but I think I was doing like a mid-Atlantic accent, really trying to be, and that's not what my character ended up being. But because of that audition, he was like, hey, but I want to give you this role. So, anyway, I don't know. I definitely doubted myself the entire 3 years of it. It took 3 years, not recording all the time, but definitely coming in periodically. I got to record some other characters as well, some smaller characters. And so it was so exciting when it came out after all that time. But I didn't know how to properly, I don't think I properly parlayed that. Because I feel like, that was 2008 or something, 2010. Yeah, I didn't really talk about it besides my friends and family or anything, but it was huge. It was a big deal. And then I got to do recently the promo campaign for Ahsoka, the series, which was just so
nice little
amazing on so
going
many
back
levels.
to Star Wars.
Kind of making the full circle thing, and just being able to be a female voice on a Star Wars thing, because generally speaking, they're, using the male voiceover, and I love all my male promo trailer guys, but it was really cool. It was really awesome being able to have that Have
That
that
is
project under
great.
my
So are you a big Star Wars nerd?
I've not seen all of the things, but I do love Star Wars. I've not
awesome.
seen all, I feel like there's so many different tracks
Yes.
that it's gone off of.
It's a lot. Yeah, I mean, it can be a lot. So you kind of just have to pick, okay, I like this character and I'm going to see everything they're in. Or I like
Yeah.
this time frame in Star Wars and I want
But
to
I've seen
do all that.
Star Wars all the way through. I've seen all of those many times.
Gotcha.
My 5-year-old loves it. He can tell me exactly which ship is from which episode.
I love
Mhm.
Yeah. So I've
That's
seen all
cool.
of those, but it's when they veer off onto the different things. Like I've seen a season of The Mandalorian, so I've
Mhm.
seen certain things, but there's others. There's so many, like Obi-Wan. So
Mhm.
There's so many like little pockets of Star Wars, and then
Yeah.
they're flushing all those out.
but I
as
love
we-
the people
as
that
we-
know everything. There are the people that know everything and they know the timeline.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome. And how they can, because it's really cool for them. I feel like the creators make it for those people because they'll put in little
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
tidbits.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Totally.
definitely.
Totally
And
right.
when
Sure.
we were young, like I have to like I feel like of what's going on now, like I'm from that first generation of it where I saw Star Wars in the very first one, A New Hope, in the theaters at 5 years old,
Yeah.
and like stood in line for 2 hours at 5. So I was a mess. But I mean, it was like and so I just feel like we grew up with that, and so it's so nice that to see all of like our kids
Yeah.
just having it in their mainstream and knowing all of that and being able and so it makes me feel like, oh man, I got to experience that first,
On the
but I
ground level.
love
Yeah.
seeing it being experienced for the first time with
Right.
them
Yep.
and that we can have the conversations about it. So I just love that. And then my son, huge, he's 21 now, but huge into Star Wars when he was a kid. He watched the prequels first, then the ones we watched first, and
Yes.
then and so but he got to see all of them together, and like it was nice, and how he interpreted it versus how I interpreted it. And so it's just so neat to see how other people from different generations interpret all of that, and you're
Yeah.
a part of that. You're a part of that whole like
That whole
world and
yeah.
universe, and so it's
Yeah.
so cool to
I
even
have
be a
a-
little part of it. So.
I have a Star Wars adjacent question. So, Old Republic, one of your first projects, and then Ahsoka,
Uh-huh.
the voiceover for the commercials. Not that long ago, I think when we met you in Oregon, I think it was just
Yeah.
being released. Like I was watching it on my phone the night before we met you. I'm like, oh my god, and you're like, oh yeah, I just did that. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so crazy. So I gotta ask you,
Yeah.
how did your process change from like those early days to booking Ahsoka? So like from Old Republic to Ahsoka, what has your experience been like? How has your process changed going from like you were like a rookie, now you're like this vet of
I
doing
mean-
voiceover?
Well, thank you. Thank you for saying that.
Let's
Sometimes
put it
I don't
in-
know how I
Wait,
feel
let's
about.
put it in Star Wars terms. You were a Padawan,
Oh,
and now
see?
you're a Jedi Master.
There you go.
Oh my God, that's that's being very friendly. I mean, sorry, very kind, very friendly, very kind. So I feel like so much happened in between. For example, doing the promo campaign and doing Star Wars the video game are two entirely different genres of voiceover, different realms, right?
Right.
Being a promo, being in promo and being in video games are two different things. One's obviously all about the character acting, and the other where you have to have a certain cadence and it just depends on what you're doing. So I had to decide that I wanted to go down that path. And when I first started in voiceover, they said, women don't really do promos, so you probably don't need to worry about. When they were kind of breaking it down in my first voiceover class, there's commercials and there's, animation. And so I remember thinking like, oh, okay. So I didn't focus on it. And I don't even know what made me originally start down that path, but I do know I met a friend. His name is Jeff Howell. He's a promo. He does a lot of promo coaching in general. Great friend. We met boxing actually, and our boxing coach introduced us. And I knew he did a lot of promos, so I just said, "Hey, I would love to
Right.
try this out with you. And I remember the first time I did it, it was like working a different muscle. I remember afterwards I was exhausted. I was like, oh my gosh. But then I kept working at it and kept coaching it. But you have to decide kind of one thing at a time. When I decided to focus on, and I've gone back and forth too, because then I'll say, okay, now I'm going to focus on video games again. I don't want to coach, train, work on this.
Interesting.
But I try to focus on one area at a time until I really get it.
Yeah.
And then start. And then I'm fortunate that my agents are really, they really allow me the opportunity to audition for the things that I want to audition for. I get to audition for all these different genres. And so then I get the opportunities, right? Some people are kind of in a little box over here where they're only doing animation, but they don't really get over here, or, so I really like that when I said, hey, now I really want to, I've been coaching and narration. I would love to be able to audition for some of those things. My agent started sending me some narration projects and I got to work in that area. So I enjoy that so much about voiceover, that I get to expand, that I'm not always doing the same thing and it's different all the time.
That's something I love about voice actors and voice artists is the way that you guys describe your work. Is actors will be like, I'm doing this movie and I do this and I do that, and the way you describe it is I get to, and I have the opportunity to, and it's like there's just a level of appreciation in what you do, and appreciation in the audience too. Because I mean, and anywhere from somebody who is doing very minor voice acting to major voice actors, anybody that we've talked to, they all are in that same arena of I am appreciative of being able to do this, and
yeah,
I love that about all of you.
It's true, and I think the voiceover industry, it's relatively tight, and we all feel that way, and there's a lot of kindness that goes around between the casting directors, the age, like it feel like in general the coaches, everybody's it's a pretty loving environment, I'd say, and supportive.
That's good.
Is definitely the word. So I think that every one of us knows, we all have friends that have been trying and working and putting in the work and coaching and just can't break through. So I understand how fortunate I am to be where I'm at.
I also love that you talk about, well, I had to go to this coach and I had to train to do it. So I worked on it. And I think a lot of people forget that how work intensive acting is, voice acting, stage, screen, TV, like any kind of acting, it's all work, and you do have to use new muscles. It's just not necessarily, oh, I'm gonna, I'm gonna be really jacked outside. It's more internal, and it's more coaching, in that you constantly have to be doing that with your craft. And so it's great to hear you say that too, because I think a lot of people forget about that, because they're like, oh, they're having fun, they're just doing funny little voices and stuff, but you have to train yourself to do that, and it is exhausting. So and I love that, so thanks for highlighting that too. So
yeah, it's important. I think sometimes we kind of joke about it in our inner circles, right? But people will say, oh, I think I'm gonna just do some voiceover for a while, trying to make some extra money doing that. And we're like,
right,
it's not so, why don't you also go and get your go to medical school and become a doctor? I mean, it might be a little easier.
Be a doctor for a little bit.
We're not Ken just going, hey, get me one of those Sharpie thingies and a clicky pen in Barbie, right? It's more to it than that.
It takes a lot of work, and I feel like since the pandemic, things have changed as well. There's even more people in it. I know I had a lot of my on-camera friends really want to get into it during the pandemic because we were the only ones still working, basically.
Yeah.
So, but you have to be willing to work at things. And I do also, I've had people ask me about having the acting background, and I think that that's really important, especially if you want to do character work, like having the training that I went through when I did the on-camera and theater stuff definitely helps a lot. And I don't think I would be where I am if I didn't have that,
Can you tell us about like your how you record? You talked about like, you can't be in shoes, you got to have your feet on the ground, like, and that acting background. I know a lot of voice actors get very physical in the
Yes.
sound booth as they're doing. Can you tell us a little bit
Yeah.
about how you record?
Yeah. So I've recorded myself before. I've had to be, and if I'm doing a really intense promo, it's like I'm conducting an orchestra. Da 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 da, because I have to hit those words super hard, and I do this a lot. Conducting the orchestra. But if I'm doing something that's character work, I try to envision what's happening. I'm like, if I'm doing that, or one thing, I'm sitting right now. I never sit when I record, sitting for this, but when I'm recording, I have to be standing. I have to have my feet on the ground and shoeless. But if I'm in here, there's this little side thing here, and I kind of lean here. If I'm doing something super casual, I always do that. I'll just prop my leg up here, and I just kind of like, so yeah,
Right.
and I just naturally do that to get myself into my casual place.
Right.
And then I also have little phrases that I'll do if I have to get into a different accent or a different like AI voice. I just did something with an AI for Despicable Me 4. At the end, it's an AI voice, and it was so much fun. Normally, trailers are you record it on your own, kind of. It's really quick, but we had a big session, and we played with that thing. We did so many random types of robots, and I would start in the session. I would say all of a sudden, I'd try to get myself into back into the robot, and I'd say, "I'm sorry, I didn't catch that." That's always my go-to. That's always my go-to thing if I'm trying to get into AI voice, or if I'm trying to do British. It's my protege was Kate Winslet, and it was one of her interviews. And my dialect coach, this is how she breaks it down. She's incredible. Pamela Vanderway is her name. So we broke this all down, and I'd have to do each line one at a time until I perfectly matched her. And it was, you just learn so much as an actor that was that line. You just learn so much as an actor that you want
That's
to keep
so
learning more and
awesome.
more. Was an excellent, and I'll go into that. So depending on what I'm doing, I have these little things that I always do right before I jump in. And especially if I'm switching back and forth between things. And I have
love
used in a world, if I really have to go crazy, because I know I'm never going to be the guy in a world. Yeah. I have used that.
Trailer voice.
And I laugh when I do it.
Trailer
I laugh
voice.
when I do it to myself.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So good.
Do
That's
you
so
do
good.
any of
You
the
know,
warm-up exercises like
He sold tortillas on the corner.
well, so there's one that we used to do when I acted on stage was the articulation of the population is
Ooh.
terribly indistinct. And you're supposed to pop the
yes.
P's and the T's.
Uh-huh.
We used to do that. And then the good blood, bad blood, red leather,
Yep.
yellow leather. Those are some,
I
are there
remember
some
those.
that you use before to warm up your
I
mouth?
definitely, especially for games, or if I know I'm going to be I should be doing it all the time, but especially in games or things where I know I'm going to be really going to different levels of my voice. And then there's been times where I've been sick, like I lost my voice earlier this year, and I had to do a promo. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, I had to cancel 2 sessions, which I've never had to do before. Luckily, I was able to warm up my voice enough, and it was just doing that stuff. And then I actually have this voice straw thing that I'll use.
Oh.
You can do in here. And if you need to scream, whatever you have to do, if you do it in here first, then you do it on the mic.
Interesting.
It has
Oh,
trained
that's
your
awesome.
muscles to there's a more scientific way to explain it, but basically it's much better on your vocal cords.
It's like a
I'll do that, and
rehearsal.
you can warm up this way.
Yeah, like a rehearsal.
It's
Yeah,
a
that's
rehearsal.
awesome.
Yep. So
That's
I
great.
love those behind the scenes stuff.
Do you ever make the
I know.
tea with ginger and honey and cayenne pepper and all that stuff? I'm trying to remember the recipe, but we used to make singers drink that to loosen the vocal cords before they would go on stage.
Yeah, I've done my tea with the honey. I've done throat coat. I do not like the taste of throat coat, but I'll do it if I have to.
Yeah.
I have a nebulizer. Oh man, I had
Get a
whole
better
gamut of
name for
things.
your product. Throat coat? Oh my
Throat
God,
coat?
awful.
Have you heard of that throat coat tea?
No,
Because
it
it's
sounds
supposed to
awful.
coat your throat.
Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah.
it definitely helps on those times. I used
I
the
think they
time where I
put
lost my voice. I used all of it.
aniseed or something in it,
Yeah.
and it makes it taste weird.
Sort
Yeah,
of
it's-
licoricey, but not in a good way.
Yeah, not the
At
good
least
licorice.
not to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I'll also just do tea with honey. I got I think it's a Chinese herbal something or other syrup that was supposed to help I mean, I've done all the things, especially when I lost my voice. I ended up on steroid inhalers from my ENT to try to get, because it happened twice. I got it
Wow.
back, and then it happened again. And I couldn't, it was not just like my throat was a little bit, no, I couldn't talk.
I saw that.
horrible.
I saw that post you had with like
Yes.
all your medicines. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That had accumulated over that span of time, to the 2
Oh
weeks
my
or whatever.
gosh.
Yeah.
But I mean,
It's-
that's like, you have to take care of like your talent and your tools and the things
Mhm.
you need. So that makes so much sense.
Yeah.
So you know, your Kate Winslet, like how to get into an English voice thing, reminded me of Elise Bowman, how she always says cheeseburger fries and blueberry pies is like her thing to get into Pan for Dragon Ball.
Oh my gosh. Right.
So
The
it's so
different characters.
interesting.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're big. We mentioned Freddie Prinze earlier. We're big wrestling fans. Well, some
Okay.
of us. I don't think Frey's a big wrestling fan.
What's wrestling?
Exactly. But you actually did some work for WWE, like
I do a
last year.
decent amount of work for WWE. Actually, a lot of it is I've done several things, promo things, and I did a whole. They're doing the 50 greatest women wrestlers. I
50
did like
greatest
the
wrestlers. Yeah.
narration for that, which was cool. And they also do a lot of things. They do a lot of charity work, and I'll do these little. I don't even know. They probably air them a little bit, maybe on their site and their channel, but talking about what they've done, what the wrestlers have done, things, philanthropical things that they're doing. I narrate a lot of those things, or read however they want to do the promo voice for those things.
Yeah.
I love working for them because, again, it's just this like I get to do some really fun stuff.
You did the Money in the Bank.
Yeah,
like
Money in the Bank.
intro for it. I'm like, wait, what? And I
Yes.
had to go listen to it. I'm like, that's so cool.
That was fun because we had an actual session for that, and with the director and everything, and the guy who was the creative head of that. So we got to really have fun and play around with that, which doesn't always happen. Sometimes I get the script and I get to read it, and sometimes I get to have sessions. So
That's awesome.
That's so
yeah,
cool.
it's so fun. I love working for WWE.
It's so funny
know.
because sometimes we do this thing where like we'll do like, Gem State, Comic-Con, but then it'll be the same weekend as like a pay-per-view. So we'll end up, going to dinner with some of the actors and stuff, but then we'll go home and end up back to the hotel room and
Right,
then
and
watch
watching.
the pay-per-view.
That is literally
like that.
happening. That is literally happening during Gem State WrestleMania.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
really?
So we'll end up like, I think we may have watched Money in the Bank like after one of the cons. So I'm like, oh, that's so
That is-
weird.
that
The
is
last
great.
one-
I love that you guys do that.
Yeah, the last one was SummerSlam.
Yeah, it's so
Oh
fun.
yeah, SummerSlam.
They love
That's
seeing men and women, get down and
Slamming
dirty
each other on the.
in a ring. That's yeah.
That's
But
how
they
we
don't
do it.
put rings on each other inside a ring.
Yes,
So if jewelry's not involved, I usually don't really care.
that makes sense. That makes sense. It's fun to watch. It's fun to watch because, especially WWE, there's also a certain amount of drama to it.
Yes,
a lot
that's
of a
exactly
big
what
amount.
it is. It's drama.
Yeah.
y'all need to get into telenovelas. That's all I'm saying.
That's what we're
Oh my gosh.
wrestling is telenovelas. People who like fighting.
Exactly.
Those are
Oh.
amazing.
Oh.
Amazing.
So I know we don't have much more time with you. So
Oh yeah.
yeah. Okay. Because I
minutes.
don't want
Yeah.
you to be. I was going to say I don't want you to rush to the next thing that you need to do.
The
Because
next thing is going to my kids' school with
Yeah.
talking about voiceover.
So there you go.
Teaching
were the
kindergartners
warm-up.
that it's a job that exists.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. No, it plays into when we talked about I grew up not knowing about this, and I love that I get to go to my son's school and say, I mean, I know we live in LA, so there's more access to all this, and you see it
Mhm.
more. But this is a job that you can actually do.
Yeah.
We'll talk
Yeah.
about what do you what is
You may
voiceover?
blow some kids' minds because they may have been like how you were when you were a kid. You're like, oh, these are cartoons. I love cartoons.
Yeah.
And then you'd be like, wait a minute. There are actually people behind that, like
Yeah.
real
You
people.
could do this for a living, kid.
Yeah. Like,
I
so
know.
you never know. If
Oh, yeah.
you have one kid that just is like, You know,
Yeah.
you've done your
might
job.
inspire somebody today. That might happen. You might inspire some kid.
I hope so. That would be amazing. My kids get to audition just purely through my access because my agents
Yeah.
will have kid auditions sometimes, and they get to.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So Larson
That's
tells people
awesome.
she's a voiceover artist. My daughter. This is
And
what I
it'll
do.
be stories that even
You're
if
like,
they
"You
don't
didn't
go
book it,
into
relax."
it,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like, but even if they don't, go into it
Yeah.
as a job later, these are stories that they can tell when they're older, with what they're doing, and it'll just be that cool story that they tell, even if it's not, you never know, like you don't ever
And
know.
it encouraged to me. It encouraged. I mean, she has had a booking, but it encourages them to read. I know. I'm so excited for her. Encourages them to read. It isn't about what they look like at all, which I love. Because especially being that young, and
Mhm.
even now, she was reading to me. She's in second grade. She was reading to me, and she would read it, and she was kind of getting all the words down, and she's like, "Let me do that again," and then she did it again and added all this nuance
Oh,
to
that's
it. She's like,
awesome.
Yeah.
voiceover helped me know how to do that.
Yeah.
That's
Oh, that's
So,
awesome.
to add some life to it.
And to see the pride that they take, that they're
Yes.
like, I can do this myself. So it's
Yeah.
like they get that kind of confidence that they may not have had because they don't get that everywhere anymore.
I-
We did
yeah.
when we were kids. Everybody thought we were just, they would ignore it. Either they neglected us or they put us on display. That's how
Yeah.
our parents were. Display, neglect. That was it. You were a
I
latchkey kid, but you could perform in front of a party, so it's
Yep.
nice for them to get their own pride because when you see that in your children, it's amazing.
know.
So,
We get it. Gen X, early millennial. It's we all dealt with it. It's fine.
well,
I
I mean,
totally
I'm
know.
immortal, so I'm like Gen A.
Oh yeah.
I
That's
totally know what
Mortality
you're
has
saying.
its
My
challenges.
my kids are the same way. Like I have two kindergartnens. Speaking of, I got to go get them in a minute. But I got two kindergartners, and I got a third grader, and he's been reading to them to
Yes.
get him
Yep.
involved. I'm like, oh, it's so cute. But
Yeah.
like when I read to the kids, like I'll use the different voices and things like that and just play around. But I've heard him pick that up,
Yeah.
and now he's trying different voices as
It's
he
so
goes and reads.
cool.
I'm like, oh, look at you. But
Isn't that awesome?
it's so awesome. I love it. But I have to go get the kids. Speaking of kids,
Yes.
I'll let you guys
Let's say
talk about. I'll
let's-
let you guys talk Jujutsu Kaisen and all the
Yeah.
good stuff. Marie, thank you. It's been great.
Oh, thank you.
It's
So good to
good
see
seeing
you.
you
I'll be
again.
seeing you soon, right? In
Yes,
Idaho? Okay.
maybe not Idaho, but we'll see.
Oh,
We'll see.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm going in place of James to
Yes.
Idaho.
Got it.
So
Okay.
All right. Have fun. Great seeing you.
Bye.
James.
So good to see you too.
hopefully no revolts happen.
No
Right,
revolt.
exactly. So speaking of kind of wrapping up, because I also want to respect your time here. We've got a couple wrap up questions for you here.
Yes.
Yeah. Awesome. Let's
Just
do
because
it.
I would love to have you tell more stories, but I know you got places you got to be too. You got
I know. I love it too. I love it too. Believe me, my days are crazy.
exactly right. Like you have kids to go inspire, so let's go and get you out there and
Right?
inspire these
We
children.
need to get you out there to inspire the youth.
That's my
Come
job for
on.
today.
Exactly. It's like, oh, I already feel like Superwoman. Now I'm even more.
Here we go.
All right. So we asked you this once before, but we're going to do it for a different audience this time here. Okay. What is your favorite kind of taco? Or you know what? You're in LA. What's your favorite taco spot?
Oh man. There's a spot right up this little spot, in a strip mall. Of course, is the
Mhm.
best kind, called El Tapatio. And I love their I do their pollo taco and their guacamole. They have a chunky guacamole. It's freaking amazing. I also
Oh,
like shrimp tacos sometimes.
Yeah.
And like
love
fish
that.
tacos.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And fish tacos are the best. I feel like they're the best in California. Like,
They're-
because
yeah.
I've had them other places and I'm like, these are not good. So-
Yeah, I'm such a fan of the just street taco but
Mhm.
just a little corn tortilla with yeah. I
Yeah,
love
those are
tacos.
amazing.
In our community, being the Latino community, the way we describe it is the worse the neighborhood, the better the food.
Oh, yeah.
I can get that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
yeah.
like I said, if you get a hole in the wall little
Mhm.
taco place, it's going to be probably amazing.
Because it's
Yeah,
usually somebody's tia that just is using like a family recipe and it's delicious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it. So how about so we're going to ask you the standard question.
Okay.
What's some advice that you have for anyone trying to get into the industry, or what's the one thing daily you could do to help fine tune your craft? And you kind of talked about that with the coaching and the training
Yeah.
already, but like, what's something else? Like,
There's
just
something even more, I mean, to be more specific, two things. One is when you do decide to start coaching, if you do decide to go down that route, definitely take a class, because then you'll really know, oh, you know what, maybe this isn't for me, or yeah, I love this. But I encourage people, especially when they're starting, to do a group class, because first of all, there's some camaraderie there. And especially if you're all starting, you can kind of help each other figure out your way through. But also, you learn from each other when they're on the mic, and the teacher is directing them. You're like, oh, and you see the difference that it makes, and it's a different sort of learning than when you're on the mic. So there's that. And the other thing is reading out loud. You could do that every day. I told my nephew this, that wants to get into voiceover. I'm like, read out loud every day. Just find something, just read it out loud. And just because you constantly, I mean, when you're doing voiceover, there's so much. Every day I get copy in front of me, and I've turned into a fantastic cold reader where I can just read for the first time and just sort of read through,
yeah.
And
That's like
find the inflections.
That's like one of the things you need in order to audition in general is
Yeah,
cold
yeah, because
Yeah.
cold reading can be really difficult if you're not prepared. So absolutely.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes.
So I know we're going to see you in Idaho. We're going to see you at Gem
Yes.
State.
Yes.
What's next for you, though? Other than, I mean, Gem State can be next for you. It's in a couple of weeks.
Right.
You
I
want
know.
to
I'm
talk
trying to
about
think.
it?
I'm trying to think if there's anything coming up in between there, but I think that Gem State is next is like spring break over here. So we're going to be doing some spring breaking, and yeah, I think that that's my next thing. Cause I was just, I got to do some Texas stuff, and then after I'll be at SAC Anime later this, like late summer, I think it is.
So we'll see you at SAC Anime then.
You guys will be there? Okay, perfect. Yay.
I'm in Sacramento. I usually go to SAC
Oh,
Anime.
awesome. Okay. Yeah, I hear good things about that. I'm excited about that.
It's fun. It's a good show.
Yeah, I hear really good
You'll
things.
have fun.
And
then give us all your stuff. Give us all your info. Wait.
Oh.
I have one last last fun question here, right? So I'm gonna one of the characters I'm gonna name here you may not be familiar with, but I have a picture, so
okay.
Help. In a fight, who would win, Hanmi or Anima from Final Fantasy? If you're unfamiliar with Anima from Final Fantasy, I have a picture.
Yeah, show me a picture, please.
All right, let me pull it up real quick here. So this is Anima.
Oh, here he goes.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Look how awesome that character is.
Yeah. So Anima.
Well, what's their like special skills?
Anima is a very similar character to Hanmi. It's like a shapeless demon kind of thing.
Yeah.
Now
Are they like yokai or oni?
They're more oni than anything. The whole thing with them. So Anima is a chained demon that is an ultimate move in Final Fantasy. So like, you summon Anima to like do like massive damage. And Anima is like this scary, monstrous being, right?
Yeah.
Now, Anima physically is like, towering in comparison to Hanmi, because Hanmi is a pretty imposing character themselves, because Hanmi is supposed to be genderless, but like, Hanmi, as far as like strength and power, they're pretty similar.
Well, I mean, you know what? I feel like of course I'm going to say Hanami, just because I feel like Hanami also is such a balance of, this, the cursed spirit stuff. So maybe could be looked at as an enemy, but, or a villain of some sort. But then also I feel like Hanami's intentions are really for the earth, Hanami's intentions are about protecting the earth, like I've said this before, but sort of like a Mother Earth character, a Mother Earth like being that's representing the earth, and so has all of the power of the earth. I mean, granted, like obviously shit can go down still with Hanami, but that's my thought on that.
I was also thinking too, like if not Anima, like Hanmi can also like maybe Groot is also kind of like a tree spirit.
Yes.
You know,
But
when-
Groot's so loving.
but
Groot can
Groot,
definitely throw down.
yeah, Groot can fight though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
and
true.
he literally kills people with a smile on his face. It's
He
my
does.
favorite thing about
Yeah,
him.
I wonder if Hanami and Groot could maybe be a team.
Like
Or do
hang
you
out.
think they'd be
Oh,
on the same team,
up.
or do you think
Yeah,
they would be like, no, you are not my kind?
No, and especially Groot now that he is like uber alpha Groot, like huge Groot from after the third one.
Yeah,
They would be so cute as a team up. Sorry.
that would be awesome. I
All
want to
right,
see baby
so
Hanami,
Graveyard
baby
has-
Hanami and baby Groot.
Oh yes. Oh my gosh, and they could do dances.
That would be
That would
God.
be so cute.
what would be better?
Make anything into baby whatever, and we're gonna love it. All right.
Yeah, exactly. Of course. Always.
So Graveyard is asking any advice for someone who needs to yell in terror for a movie that has not been done. That has not done that
Done that
before.
before?
So he's got to yell apparently in
Yeah.
terror for a movie
Yeah.
over and over and over again, and he hasn't ever done that before because he's so chill.
Well, I mean, also just using your voice in that way and then not losing your voice, I think is the huge component of that.
Yeah.
And you can do a thing where you put your hand into a fist, so it sort of blocks a lot of the air, or even like this way. But usually I think it works best with this way. And you puff you kind of puff your cheeks a little bit. It's the same thing, the same concept that works here,
Yeah.
and do the screaming in there first and warm up your voice first is what I would say. Warm up your voice first, doing the brrr. There's many things you can find online to do that. And then if you could kind of practice the scream right there, and then you just need to, make it as blood curdling and terrified as you possibly can.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh my
my
gosh,
real
but-
screams and my like pretend terror screams are totally different because my real
Totally
scream
different.
sounds like a banshee being strangled. Now my pretend terror screams are like blood curdling, but my
Yeah.
real ones are
Yeah, because you have
But-
to get the drama in there. Your
Yeah.
real ones are like, that's because you're really reacting to something.
yeah.
So
So- which is different.
you're so
Okay.
welcome.
Did you want to answer the question that we posed earlier that apparently I pulled out of my butt about if you were which superhero
I
or
was
villain
I
would you
was seriously
be?
thinking about that. I think I would like to be Captain Marvel because
Mhm.
she kind of is the best. She does everything.
She is.
But I was trying to think of what would be, because she lived about her days for so long, not just doing everything she needed to do. I was trying to think what would be difficult for her, a daily task that would be difficult for her to do, because I think she's able to do both.
What about
right?
driving a car?
I
That
think
might
that would be
something.
completely difficult for her because she hasn't driven a car in how many years?
And yeah, her memory, especially like with the MCU version of her memory as far as that goes is like, what do I do again? But I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's
She's
a good
really
point.
good at driving a plane, and I feel like
Yeah.
a plane and So she hasn't driven in a while. But
That's
I was
true.
trying to think like maybe like social interaction. She is pretty socially awkward.
Yeah. She definitely has a very direct way of doing things and not really a lot of emotion behind it.
Yeah, like
You
maybe
know?
like leaving a voicemail.
Yeah, anything that would. Yeah, if she had to act in a telenovela, I think that would be impossible for her.
There you
I
go.
think it would be impossible for her. There you go. I don't think she could bring that level of drama and emotion that she would need to tap
Right?
into for a telenovela.
She would totally. Absolutely. There you
Yeah,
go.
there
And
we
you
go.
brought
Thank
it
you.
all.
We
that-
hashed that out. Now I know.
Yeah,
Here's
and
my
Phil
answer.
would say that was called a callback.
That's what we call
Boom.
the industry a callback. Boom.
That's what we call
Boom.
an industry callback. All right, so where can everyone follow you and find you and learn more about what you do on a daily basis?
So I feel like on Instagram is where I'm the most active. It's not even, I feel like it is definitely more than anything else. TikTok, it's so difficult for me. I'm not the best at keeping up, so just know that in advance. I try really hard to do well at it, but then sometimes like a couple weeks pass and I'm like, oh my God, I haven't posted. But I do try to post things and repost stories, especially if I'm going to be doing conventions and things to let people know where I'm at. So just M Westbrook. Wait, Is it M Westbrook VO or is it Marie Westbrook VO? Now
I
I'm
think it's
now
Murray
I'm like
Westbrook. Yeah,
Marie Westbrook VO. Okay.
I think it's Murray
But
Westbrook.
Twitter is
I'll double check.
Twitter is M Westbrook VO, which I'm not really on a ton, but Marie Westbrook VO on Instagram is definitely the spot that I'm at right now.
Yeah, it is Murray Westbrook VO.
Thank you. Thank you. See how great I am. I social media connoisseur. I am not, but I definitely try my best, and I like interacting with people there on some of the posts and stuff. So
Awesome. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. I'm so glad that I got to see you before
I
actually
know.
meeting you in person. And I can't wait to meet you in person
I can't
because I
wait.
think we're just gonna, I swear, we'll be BFFs by the end.
I
It'll
can't
be
wait for that.
amazing.
I think so too. I can't wait for that. We'll continue the conversation
Exactly.
on the side.
Absolutely. Thanks for answering my random question.
I loved it. No, I really got to thinking. I was like, good question.
Well, I like to ask those. I like the weird questions. As
The
you can tell
stumpers.
behind me, I have a lot of Wonder Woman stuff,
I
and
love it.
I've taken
I
the
love it.
wondering in the Wonder Woman to the
Yeah.
extreme.
No, but you should. Those are
Yeah,
such great
absolutely.
questions.
All right. Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate you
Thank
being
you.
there, and definitely inspire all those kids out there
Oh my gosh.
today.
I would love to. I love doing that. Inspire them, inspire the girls to get into science. Yeah, all that.
That's awesome. So thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks for joining us on a weird Monday.
Thank you so much.
Phil, do you want to show her before she goes what you've done so far on your?
Oh yeah. So
Yeah, show me.
I've got their living room basically. So chairs, their little bottle of wine, things like that. I'm currently
awesome.
building the floor.
Oh, cool.
That is so awesome.
So yeah, and then I've got Rachel
Oh, there we go.
and I've got Ross.
So they're on
did
a
this come in
break.
a kit?
Yeah, it's a kid.
Okay. I was like, there's no other way because you can't have made all of this. That is incredible. That is incredible. I wanted to tell you something because I saw something pop up that reminded me. There's an awesome podcast that I am a part of, and I am so honored to be a part of it. It's called No Sleep Podcast that David Cummings was talking about. I can't even, I don't even think I can go into all the elements of it, but you can find it on all wherever you can find your podcast on Apple, but No Sleep Podcast. But we do, these amazing writers come in and do these really creepy short stories, and some of them I narrate and some of them I get to be a character in, but it is so much fun and we have such a cool fan base, and that is somewhere where you can also find me because I pop in and out of these different things, and we've had some awesome people on there. I don't know if people are familiar with Kate Siegel and Mike Flanagan.
Oh shit, Mike.
Yeah,
I love
They are, Kate and I have been friends. We like went through the trenches together. We've known each other for a long time. So they're friends of mine. So they've been a part of it. And that's sort of, it's a kind of a longer story of how I got involved, but it's been something that I truly have a lot of pride for and I enjoy so much. So anyway, I wanted to just say that is something because I love being a part of it.
That just
And
means
if
we'll
you are
have to
not
have
aware
you
of it, you
back
got to
on.
find it.
We just have to have
Perfect.
you back on to tell that story.
Yes. That's a fun one. And it's sort of another side thing that I do that's not, the video games and stuff. So, which is
That's
all great.
awesome.
Yeah.
Maybe you get in touch with them and have them come on the show with you. Ooh.
Oh my gosh. David, are you still watching? Yes. I would love that. Oh,
Sorry, that was me. My computer went to sleep and decided I'm going to talk. So yeah.
I love it. I'm sorry. I didn't catch that.
Yeah, that's it. Oh, well, that's awesome. So, okay. Well, Marie, thank you so much. And I know we keep like elongating it. We don't want to let you go. But
don't want her to
It's so
go.
fun. It's so fun, you guys. Seriously. Thank you for having me. I really, another place where I know you guys are doing amazing stuff here and I love what you're doing. And it was really cool to get to meet you all back in Oregon when I was there at Anna Medford.
Right.
That was my first ever convention. And I just, it just was fun. And I felt you guys all helped me feel so relaxed and comfortable. And so I was really excited to come back on. So thanks for having me.
No, it's our pleasure, and we can't wait to see you in about 2 weeks here.
Yes. All right. Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Marie.
Bye.
See you in a couple weeks.
See you in a couple
Bye-bye.
weeks.
We just really didn't want to let her go.
We didn't. No, we did not. We didn't want to let her go. It's just the way it is.
God, that was so fun though. I mean, like, I always expect conversations to be fun, but it's just a crap ton of fun.
And I think Graveyard just asked us to be on his horror interview show. Oh wait, no, that was probably Marie Westbrook.
David Cummings, if you shoot us a message, that way we can like on Instagram or social media of choice, and that way we can like talk about booking and everything, man, because I would love to have you guys on.
Yeah, absolutely. And we got Kyber Cave in the house.
Damn it. I was gonna go to my soundboard, but the soundboard's on the other side of the room.
That's okay. I make sounds with my mouth.
There you go. Here, this is the closest thing that I have that I'm gonna use.
Synopsis.
That's awesome.
That's the next fun thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think now, so normally we do brackets at this time, but you know, it's not the same without Graveyard. So I think we're just gonna rant because I have seen things that I want to talk about.
I also feel the same way. It's not the same without Gravy.
It isn't, He's our little graveyard, our little grave guy. Okay. So I know you're watching Shogun, right?
Absolutely. Oh my God, I love Shogun so much.
And Say Wong, he's like, she has seen things, LOL. So what do you think? So have you read the book?
I haven't actually. I haven't actually read the book. And I know you have.
I have not, but Husby's read the book,
Okay.
and I'm supposed to read it, but I haven't yet.
I love it so far. I feel like the storyline is very captivating. I love like the perspective of the entire show is that it's worlds colliding because like I love the idea of both sides, one side being a single guy and the other side being the entirety of Japan. But I mean,
right.
Like just both sides, the perspective on both sides is like they both refer to each other as savages,
And barbarians.
And they both refer to themselves as the civilized ones.
And
it's like it's the difference in cultures, and it's like seeing. I'm forgetting his name right now. The British guy.
Oh, John Blackthorne.
So seeing John. Like he hasn't really like stated it, but you see it as the episodes go. He's slowly starting to understand Japanese culture and seeing the code of honor that they have and respecting that code of honor.
Yeah, it's like he's learning on the fly, and so you see him when he's not speaking. He's looking everywhere, like his head is on a swivel. It's almost like he's a human bobblehead because he's just like looking everywhere and trying to really see how other people are interacting to understand who's telling the truth and who's not, and like that kind of stuff. So, and I really like that because I think it highlights that how verbal communication is really only 3% of what humans do, and the rest is nonverbal. Right. And so he's taking a lot of the nonverbal cues and a lot of the nonverbal things that people are doing, and that's what's informing his decisions, like why he wants to stay with Toranaga versus Ayashu or no, Ashido. Sorry, I'm like getting him confused because I do know a little bit about that period because we've been watching stuff on it because it's really interesting. And so I know like who Toranaga is based on. He's based on Toranaga, who was somebody. What is it? Toranaga? Is it Ayasu? He's one of the unifiers of Japan.
Right.
Hideyoshi Sanada or Hideyoki Sanada, who plays Toranaga, was talking about it in an interview, and so yeah. So I think it's
wonder
awesome.
what line Hiroyuki Sanada comes from, because it's like that's one thing that I love about. He's not just an actor; he's an actual samurai. Like he's descended from a line of samurai. So I'm
Well,
like,
and to be fair, a lot of people are in Japan, but he's actually like really embraced it and knows a lot about it. So he's also knows the people to talk to and knows the people. He's a producer too, so he's been in a lot of it. And he's been trying to get this developed for a number of years. And so they've got Japanese crew people and American and British crew people that they're working with both. And so they were talking about how the crews were getting along and how they were learning from each other too. So even behind the scenes, they're learning a lot. I do feel like that's why it's so much more authentic than I think we've seen in the past.
right.
And I think that's really cool. And then you've got like the guy that's playing John, who is just acting just confused all the time. And I've got to think I would just feel that way normally because I would have no idea. So it's really nice. And I love the actress that they got for Mariko, Toda Mariko. She does such a good job.
And
Sawai.
and Sawai, she's
Yeah.
so crazy enough. She's actually from New Zealand.
Right, but she actually is Japanese. Like she was talking about in an interview that she actually she lived in Japan for a little bit, but I think but she's from New Zealand, yeah. So,
Yeah.
but
she's also in Godzilla.
oh, is she? Oh, okay, yeah. She's really good. Like she just the way that their faces have to be and how so much is expressed in their faces without them actually talking, I think is just amazing. And I think that's really cool. I find the series as a whole a great study in societal norms and how they are regional and like how you have to like how the people that survive are the ones that can adapt easier than the ones that can't. And so I find it interesting. And there was a scene, I think it was in episode 2, where he's actually so John's talking to Toranaga, and they don't ever say like, you don't hear the translation, you just hear what the person is saying and then what the person is saying back. So like John will say something to Toranaga and then Toranaga says something back. So it's like they're having a conversation with each other even though they don't understand each other.
Right.
And the way that they edited that, it seems like they are having that conversation and they completely understand each other. So it's really and it was so interesting to see that.
Yeah, they're like one of the big things, and this is what I got from my wife, from a couple of different people. They're saying that one of the negatives that people are having with this show is how many people can't understand what's going on and don't know what it is. And I was telling her, well, if you're watching it in English, it doesn't make sense because everybody's speaking English. The 90% of what makes the story compelling is that nobody understands each other, but they're finding ways to understand each other.
Right. And they're finding ways to communicate and build bonds and friendships. And so that's really neat, I think.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's the story in itself is amazing. You know, like it's masterful storytelling 101.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I think that's great. And we didn't even think about it. I didn't even know they had an English dubbed version until after we watched like the first 2 episodes. And I was like, no way. Why would I want to watch it any other way than what we're watching it right now? It's so beautiful. It's like almost like it's a dance.
Yeah.
Like I could see where you wouldn't get that from the English dub. So but I don't know. But so, and I think, that's part of it. So it's like anything else. It's, you know, do you want to watch it to where you can understand it and you can be on your phone while you're watching it? You don't have to really pay attention, or do you want to actually focus on it? And I think that's it. And this series, if you're watching it like with the Japanese, like they're speaking period Japanese. They're not just speaking modern. So they're actually saying it more formally and stuff. But if you're if you're watching it that way, you really have to concentrate on it. We spend, like, husband and I spend that time actually watching every single minute. And I think that's something that we've lost as TV viewers in this age of technology, with, having our phones and doing 7 other things while we're watching TV or whatever. And yeah, so I love it because I can just spend that time just focused on it. But I think it's great. And
I'm assuming that Chuck is generally generationally American.
yeah, no.
What generation American is he?
His mother was from Japan. So
Does he speak any Japanese?
he knows a little. Like, he's not his little brother speaks. And I think his sister might. But they know some. But yeah, he didn't know, like, cuz he was born there and they moved directly to Germany. So he never really. Yeah. So I mean, it's that kind of thing. So he knows some, but he doesn't know a ton. And I think that's it. But he teaches me words every now and then.
Yeah, and
So,
that's why I didn't assume that he spoke Japanese, is because, like, to assume that somebody speaks Japanese just because they're Japanese, it's like he's American, and like there were people who, not to go into a bummer note, but like there were people who went into internment camps that were like 3rd generation American.
yes,
So,
yes,
like,
yeah.
and didn't know anything about Japanese culture, right? So it's like, I know that I'm not going to assume that anybody, just because you're Japanese, that means you speak Japanese, right? It's like how I'm Hispanic, right? I'm Latino, and we have a word in our community for Latinos that don't speak Spanish, right? They're no sabo, which basically means that you don't speak Spanish. You're not up on the culture because you grew up in America. You have, you're culturally American, right? So it's like, I know not to assume that. Like, I'm 1st generation American, but I've retained a lot of my culture, but that's that part of that is my mom teaching me a little bit of it. My dad wasn't really on that side of everything until like later on, and then me kind of looking into my culture and looking into kind of like where I come from, and knowing my background and everything. So a lot of it is also just kind of me wanting to know more about my people, right? But I bring that up because it's like, again, I don't want to assume that just because Chuck's Japanese, that means that he knows how to speak Japanese and he knows 100% what's going on in the show. If he's just listening to it, like,
Well, he read the book, so he knows what, like, he gets the, like, he knows what's going on, and he actually really enjoyed it, and he does know about the culture. So I do ask him questions, but there are times when he doesn't know things, and we wind up looking it up anyway. But yeah, so and he says it's really good. He's been really happy with it, and I think that helps me too, because, like, if it's something that he's really a fan of, then I think if he doesn't like it, then I don't want to like it because he does. You know what I mean? Like, for him. And but yeah, he's really loving it. Like, I wanted to watch him like a little bit at a time because I knew they were coming out every week, and he's like, let's just catch up and we'll watch them all. And I was like, no, we're just gonna, I need to digest them. I know you know the story, but I don't. And so,
I think the choice a lot of times to make shows a weekly versus a binge is because of, like, the way this story is. It's like, I want to watch more of this. I want to see more of this. I understand wanting to binge it because you want to see what's next in the story. But the point in why they do it this way is so that way conversation happens over the course of the week.
Right. Yeah. And some shows I think lend more towards that. Like, also, like, I just finished Masters of the Air, and we've been watching that week to week, and on Apple TV. And I don't think I could have binged that. Like, I can binge Band of Brothers now because I've seen it so many times. And like, you know, and the reason I say that is because it's the same people that did Band of Brothers or did Masters of the Air, or even like From the Earth to the Moon. It's another thing that Tom Hanks did. Like I can totally binge that now, but when it first came out, I needed that time to digest it and really and like actually think about what like the stuff that they were talking about, the big questions that they were asking. And so I, you know, it's the same thing. I don't know that I could now that I've seen all of Masters of the Air, I could probably binge it. But I think seeing it for the first time, I think seeing it one episode at a time and having that, oh gosh, are they going to survive? What's going to happen next? I think that helps too for the series.
I've been having start anxiety with that. Like it's like I want to start watching that, and it's like I have this anxiety of starting the show.
Well, I mean, because it's about the bombers and they lost like 75% of the guys that went up, like didn't come home. Like that's, and so it's hard to watch. But if you like Band of Brothers and you liked the Pacific, I don't know if anybody liked the Pacific. That was really hardcore and changed me, but it was really well done to show that part of that war. This is their part of World War II. It's the bomber story, and it's really an interesting story. And Austin Butler and Callum Turner act the hell out of it. It really is on their two backs. Like if they weren't like best friends from the beginning, until, you know, however long they're on, because I don't want to ruin anything, however long they're on the show.
Well, now I know
wouldn't have made it.
Now I know one of them is going to die. God damn it.
Or I'm just really slick.
No, I don't have a problem with that. That's not why I can't start it. It's more of an ADHD thing where it's like I have this anxiety of starting things, and then once I start it, I'm fine.
Yeah, I get that. I get that too. I mean, I can understand that because it's like, okay, if I start it, am I gonna love it so much that I'm gonna want to watch all of it? Do I have enough time to watch all of it now? If I don't, there's so many factors. What if I want to watch 2 episodes and not just one? Like you start thinking about scenarios and like, okay, what do I need to do here? Or at least that's where mine comes from.
Like for me, it's not even that. It's just starting in general. Like there's just something about starting a new show. I can't even explain why I have problems with it. It's just like all of a sudden I'm just like, I can't start this show, or I want to start this show, but should I start this show? Is there anything else that I could watch? And I almost like talk myself out of watching it. And it's like, and then I forget. And it's like, there's no reason for me not to start it at all. There's no, even in my mind, I'm not telling myself not to watch it. It's just, there's just, again, it's this thing with ADHD where you have this just kind of like unexplainable anxiety over nothing.
Yeah. No, I mean, I could see that, like, because like my anxiety disorder, I have generalized anxiety. So you never know when it's going to hit, basically. It's just kind of like whenever. And but yeah, I get that. Like Wonka. Wonka was something like we watched that last night, and
that's another example. Like I keep telling myself, oh, I'm going to go watch Wonka right now, and I don't watch it. You know? And
I loved it, but I feel like I was like, well, you know, I just saw Dune 2, and I just, you know, and I've really been watching a lot of stuff with Timothée Chalamet, and do I really want to watch Wonka? Because maybe I'll get burned out on him, and that'll impact how I view the next thing he's in. And I don't want to do, you know. So I like go through scenarios in my head too, where I'm just like, just watch it. Like,
you know what makes me want to watch Wonka more? I heard a Timothée Chalamet version of World of Imagination.
Yes.
And I was like, I need to go watch this movie. That's like him singing this song makes me want to watch this. And the reviews that I read were like he's a cross between Gene Wilder and Johnny Depp's version, kind of like, you know, just kind of meeting in the middle. And I'm just like, I love this. I love the idea of this. You know, they say that he's more magic based than he was just like an eccentric dude who came up with crazy inventions. Like, I love the idea of all of this, and I want to watch it. It's just, and the whole thing is, I think the other thing is starting it and can I finish it?
Yeah. You can, once you start Wonka, you'll be like totally dialed into it. Like it's almost like it transports you to that world. That was the thing that I thought, because I won't spoil it for you, but I got more Gene Wilder than I got
Wonka. Or then you got
than Johnny Depp's
Johnny Depp.
version.
Which that's what I read, is it's more Gene Wilder than it is Johnny Depp, but there are elements of both.
Yes, there are elements of both, but it, to me, it's more about imagination. It's more that imagination, and when you see the colors of the imagination and what Wonka does and what the other characters in it do, and Olivia Colman's in it, and she's fantastic. I love her. I would totally go gay for her.
Sweet.
So I just love her so much. But I, it was so nice. And I think we had watched the last Masters of the Air. And I was like, I need something totally different. I need something oh no, we had I can't remember. We watched X-Men 97. We finished season 1 of X-Men 97. And hold on. And I'm going to say this.
97 or X-Men, the original animated series?
The animated series, the ones that they're not the new one.
Okay.
The one that's leading into the new one.
Yeah,
we finished the
I was like, that's not out yet. How did you get an advanced copy of that? God damn it.
I told you Feige and I are close. No, anyway. No, I didn't. I wish. Man, that would be so freaking fantastic. Anyway, and also would give me a lot of stress, I think.
The amount of NDAs you'd have to hold on to.
Yeah, I'd be like, I can't say anything out loud.
Oh, speaking of that, sorry, I'm just all of a sudden, again, ADHD brain kicking in. So at SAC Comic-Con, we ran into Brandon McKinney.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and there is a show that was NDA locked that I couldn't talk about for the longest time, that I was really excited about. And I asked him about it, and he finally talked about it and basically said NDA at this point doesn't matter because they're not doing the show anymore. They canceled it. But he was upset about it. He said they were pretty far along in the stages of the show, like it was already being animated and everything.
Yeah.
And Netflix canceled it. And he said he was pretty sure they canceled it for the tax break.
All right. So I need you to tell me, because I don't do well with anticipation.
Magic the Gathering.
Oh, you know what? I heard they were going to do an animated thing. And I wondered what was going on with that.
He actually said the reason that he could talk about it out loud is because Netflix had officially announced it.
Wow.
And they canceled it.
Part of me is like, they do, like, because, okay, so Husby's huge into Magic the Gathering, and I know how to play because what he likes, I like to like too. And they do really well on the computer version of it. Like, that's what he plays now. And they do a lot of like graphics and animation for that. And they have a story mode, I think, in some, like maybe Arena. I can't remember, but they do really well in that too. So I could see that being a good animated project to do, but where would they start? I don't know. I mean, I still don't know where that would go. And then like, what planeswalkers would you use? And then it's like, do you just keep adding more each? Like, if you get one more, get another season, and then it's like, I don't know. It's a lot. There's a lot in Magic.
Think about, like, you think the same thing with like doing a D&D movie, and they did amazing with Honor Amongst Thieves, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, there are ways to do it where you can honor the game as well as tell a good story, and I'm sure they're doing it. They were probably doing exactly what they were doing with exactly what they're doing with League of Legends, right? They're just kind of building on the lore and kind of going through the lore on that.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I could see that. It would have to be one of those like little slices, like just one little story or whatever that they could tell. But I could see them doing that. And I guess you would just do like the same, like very like similar to what I do when I'm watching all these comic book movies and stuff. I'm like, this is just Elseworlds. It's just a different thing, just a different take on it, you know?
Yeah.
So,
But he said it was like as far as that he could tell, like he had already storyboarded everything. They were already starting to record voices. Animation was already happening, and he was saying like it looked amazing. He said it looked like the most badass, like telling of these stories, and they they canceled it. He's hoping that at some point somebody picks it back up and just goes, hey, either we sell it to another place or we finish up what we were doing with this.
yeah, okay. Yeah, I could absolutely. Yeah. I hope so too. Like I wouldn't mind seeing something like that. And you have to like the way that I think about it now, and this gets back to the whole X-Men thing because that's what we were watching, and I had to watch something else that would make me actually feel hopeful. Um and that's why we watched Wonka. Getting back to that. You have to have something that starts it in order to know how to make it better. You know what I mean? And so if you start from a place where it looks really good and it is a little bit better, then there's nowhere to go but up kind of thing, you know? Because I think about like the X-Men series and looking back on it, I'm like, man, this animation is, I mean, it's real 90s. It's real 90s. And a lot of the dialogue, I'm like, oh, really?
It's a little cringe because it's very 90s, but
Did you really just say that? And it's like, why is Wolverine saying that? And then there's like a freaking Jean gets hurt in every single freaking episode she's in.
oh!
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, first of all, Jean is not a damsel in distress. She is more powerful than the rest of you. And and then like I'm like, and so I'm just like, okay, all right. I just need, so after we finished that first season, I was like, I need something else because if not, I may blow my brains out. Like, I mean, that was just like, oh my God. And so yeah, that's how we watched Wonka. So I really am looking forward to the X-Men 97 now, because I want to see what they do, and I really want to see if they sorry, something came up on my screen and I was like, what the heck is that? I don't know. I'm like, okay, hopefully they'll keep Magneto's wonderful locks of white hair and maybe do some stuff. But
did you see in the trailer, like when they first introduced Magneto in the trailer, he's got the long hair.
Yeah, I saw that. And I was just like, okay, good. But yeah, like they did like Days of Future Past, and I was like, okay, sure. And Mystique works for Apocalypse in it, and I'm like, really? She didn't. She never worked for Apocalypse. So I'm just like, okay, all right.
So you have that version of Days of Future Past, but I mean, like, the best storyline was the last one that they had was the Phoenix Saga, getting into the Shi'ar Empire and getting into, I'm hoping that by the end of this first season, we get the Brood.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, that's why I'm looking forward to it because I know the first season was a little rough, and so I think we're gonna binge the second, or I'm just gonna turn the second season on and we'll watch it. That's what I've been doing. I'm just like, I'm gonna turn it on. We'll just watch all the episodes.
Season one's the Morlocks, right?
Yeah, well, there was a couple episodes of the Morlocks and Storm, and the way Storm is in it, like we make fun of her all the time because she's like, I call the wind, I Storm, mistress of the weather. And I'm like, what the hell? Storm does not talk like that.
I call upon the powers.
Yeah, I'm like, you're not He-Man, you're not She-Ra. Stop it. But so have
the power.
Right. So so I was just like, okay. So, and I know I was thinking like third and fourth season, I remember them being a lot better. But that goes back to that. That's where we started. That's where X-Men started.
Right.
And now now there's a whole revitalization of it. And now we have Deadpool, and we're getting Deadpool 3, and so it's getting better, and we're getting better versions. And so I like where we're going. And I feel like that's what we need to do with all this other IP that we don't actually have. That, like Star Wars started in a weird place. It was really good and it was new. And then they did the holiday special and we were all like, what? And and but now we have all these shows, and then the production value is so good, and all this stuff that we never thought we'd be able to see as Star Wars fans we're getting to see. And Star Trek too. And all, like, there's so many IP that start in a weird cult place, I think, and then they're so good, and they just get better with each new iteration, that now they're mainstream. So, I mean, I could even say Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, even though I don't talk about the turtles. They're all just Kappa, and Kappa like butts.
I mean,
I learned that. They do.
They
like butts.
Yeah.
But you can make them go away if you fart on them.
Oh, God.
You can. It's a Kappa. I've gotten really into, Japanese mythology now because of Shogun. This is what happens. By the time we get to Gem State, I'm going to be like, hey guys, did you know about this? You're gonna be like, I don't care.
What I'm hoping for is just random Japanese facts from Frey.
Yeah. Oh, it probably will happen.
And
I'll be saying words because Husby will be with me, and he'll be like, say it this way, say it that way.
I can only hope that you talk to like you end up talking to one of those weebs that ends up being there, and you guys like have a whole conversation in Japanese. I'm just like, what the fuck is happening right now?
I don't know if I can learn Japanese that quickly because I don't know that much, but no, I think it'll be fun. I'm excited about Gem State. I really am. I know we're gonna have a good time.
Oh, we're gonna have a blast. It's 100% that we're gonna have the funnest of times.
And I'm just trying to figure out what wardrobe I'm gonna take and how many shirts I'm gonna bring so I can do changes in between our panels and stuff.
You be doing more than me because I don't do costume changes. Well, I do a costume change, but that's into Deadpool.
Yeah, that's true. Well, and I got a witch hat for the at the Irish Fest I went to a couple of weeks ago. I'm gonna put on. See my witch hat? Isn't this cute?
Out here looking real witchy.
I'm bringing it to Gem State. So
you're bringing all that witch that witch vibe.
I'm bringing the witch vibe. I also have a shirt that's it's a witch DJing on a tarot card on a shirt. And it says it's Wicca Wicca underneath it. Wicca Wicca.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. So I thought I'd bring that, But getting back to shows. So Masters of the Air is really good. You do need to start that. You definitely need to watch Wonka. I was trying to think that, and I am excited about X-Men. I think it's going to be a good show. I think it really is. I hope it is. But didn't they say it's not canon now? I thought I heard somewhere. We probably reported it, to be honest with you, that it's not canon.
To be 100%, we probably did report on that.
So yeah, so that's kind of cool. I I don't know. And Husby said something about Wonka, and he's like, the reason that Wonka didn't get nominated for any awards? Barbie. And I was like, no, it came out in 2022, right? And he's like, no, it's 2023. And I was like, damn it.
Wonka didn't get an award. Barbie movie.
Oh yeah. So so I was like, well, okay.
One more reason to be mad at Barbie. Fucking Barbie.
I'm not mad at Barbie. Barbie's a cultural phenomenon.
No, I'm just I'm saying what the fanboys are saying in their heads right now.
Right, all the toxic male fanboys. All right, but I think it'll be Barbie. Fun. I'm wondering if we'll get more Deadpool.
Oh man. So right now Disney is saying that they are 100% moving towards Deadpool because every executive at Disney loves this movie already.
I don't know if that scares me because when executives like the product, I get a little
But
concerned.
like, not necessarily. Like, it depends on the executives. I know Feige says that it's one of the best movies, and it's probably gonna like. Feige believes that it's gonna pull them out of their slump.
Yeah.
Bob Iger says it is one of the funniest movies he's ever seen.
Did he have to have somebody else laugh for him?
Maybe.
Okay.
But I mean, like, the big thing is just kind of seeing what the reactions from executives have been. Uh,
Hmm.
Test screenings have been pretty high as far as what I've seen. Like anybody who's had a test screening of the movie, uh,
Good, good, good.
you know, they're saying that they want to lean heavily into a lot of the tropes that this movie is bringing into their universe. They basically, the joke in the trailer, Deadpool saying that he's saving the MCU, but Feige is saying that no, this easily is going to save the MCU.
Yeah. No, I could see that. So, but okay. Well, kiddo, we gotta go. You gotta wrap it up.
Oh man, it is time.
Yeah, we had so much fun.
I know.
And I called you kiddo. I
I,
never call you kiddo.
you did call me kiddo. I'm a little offended by that.
Oh, come on. You know you're younger than me. I'm immortal.
Uh, but give me a second here. I've got like a couple, like just a couple more pieces to snap together, and I'll knock this out, and then we'll
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
get out of
Okay.
here on this.
I just realized what time it was. I was like, oh, okay, maybe we should go. It's been a couple hours now.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, I'm excited for it. I mean, just generally already as a Deadpool fan, I'm excited for it. But now, just kind of seeing all the reactions and everything. Now, one of the rumors that we talked about, and the majority of us went tacos off the table.
Yeah.
Supposedly now is coming out that is actually happening, and that is that
Is it the Henry Cavill thing?
Henry Cavill is going to be Wolverine. So
He's too tall.
I keep saying the same thing. He's too tall for Wolverine. I love Henry Cavill. Don't get me wrong, and I think that he would kill it acting wise.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
But-
Yeah.
But like, he's not. He's too tall for Wolverine. I do not want. Not that I don't want Henry Cavill in the MCU, but I think that is a grave misuse of his acting talent, as well as there are better characters that you can do with Henry Cavill. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I do think that sorry, Husby has a meeting too, so he's
Fine,
meeting
fine.
right now. So it sounds like I'm in a noisy cafe right now. Blah 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 blah. But I could see him. I don't know. I see him acting the heck out of it and doing a good job. I just find him too tall, and there are so many other actors that are not as tall as him that would be good Wolverine too. And they're missing the boat on him being Captain Britain.
That's 100%. That's that. I would prefer him to be Captain Britain over.
Brady said he did it.
Oh yeah. I would 100% prefer him as Captain Britain over being Wolverine. And it's like, yeah, again, he would kill it as Wolverine. I think that he's got the acting chops. I think he would probably. I'm going to get called out on the internet right now. He would probably do it more justice than
Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman, because Hugh Jackman went into it not a fan of Wolverine, and kind of like creating his version of the character and then finding a happy medium between the two characters. And I think Henry Cavill is enough of a nerd that he understands the character, but I feel like he's too tall. We need somebody, seriously need somebody who's like fucking 5'5". Because Wolverine is not tall at all.
No, and like that's part of the thing. That's why he's Wolverine, is because Wolverines are small but deadly.
Right.
So that's why they called him Wolverine. If not, they would have called him like Honey Badger or something.
We need a short, angry guy to play fucking Wolverine.
Right, Daniel Radcliffe.
I love the idea of Daniel Radcliffe as Wolverine. I love that idea.
I do too.
Yeah. I would love Daniel Radcliffe as Wolverine. I think that that is an amazing casting choice.
I just like somebody that is short but mighty. That's what we mean.
By the way,
Oh,
almost done here.
Graveyard says he'll do it. So there we go.
How tall are you, Graveyard? Are you a midget?
That is, do you need to not say that word again?
I'm sorry. Are you a little person?
There we go. You know, Say Wong, I would not mind Daniel Radcliffe being Gambit either, but I just don't know. I don't know. There's so many like French guys that could be Gambit that I think would be great. So hell, Javier Bardem, make him Gambit, even though he's not French at all.
Yeah.
That guy can be in anything. I will love him in anything. I have decided.
Lisa Nagaib!
Ever since we went and saw that, like Shadu and I are like, Lisa Nagaib for everything.
Lisa Nagaib!
Oh. If you guys have not seen Dune Part 2, you have to go see it.
It is an amazing movie.
It is awesome, and it is everything you want the second part to be.
Absolutely, I agree.
And Zendaya's like, she's serving the looks, everybody. Serving the looks.
I mean, Zendaya just being hot as usual, so. All right, I'm on the last piece. I'm just making the TV, and then we're done.
Please don't. They're just wrapping up.
So sorry, I was waving because he's on a meeting, so I was waving to everybody else, being like, "Oh, hi, guys," because they can hear me, and I'm saying things like, "She's serving looks."
She's serving all the looks. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so yeah, no, but like there are a lot of good shows coming out. It's gonna be a exhausting and fun year.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah. I mean, Raggedy Ann, she says so too. And I think the dogs are finally all healthy again.
Yay!
Yeah. So yeah, so that's it. But I was trying to think if there was anything else that I've really watched or want to watch. We're rewatching Wheel of Time.
Which is a great show.
It is. It's a really good show. And I'm noticing things now watching it again that I didn't notice the first time. That totally makes sense now.
Did you
So,
read the books?
What was that?
Did you read the books?
No, again, this is something Husby read the books and I haven't. And he said they smashed a lot of stuff together and moved some stuff, but he wasn't mad at it. But I hear a lot of people were like, no, it's not exactly like the books.
Yeah, I know. So a couple friends of the show are like massive fans of the books and have said they've changed a lot of things, but for the most part, it's for the better. So.
Yeah, like some of that stuff. I feel like, and I think Peter Jackson did this in Lord of the Rings, and I really appreciated that. There are a lot of chapters in Lord of the Rings where they really just walk. That's all they do.
Yeah.
They walk and talk, and they walk and talk.
Right.
And like instead of going back and forth and back, like they go back and forth instead of just one chapter on, hey, we're just going to talk about this part of it. And I felt like that made it a better thing. And in books, it's harder to do that. But I do see how just having 15 chapters of walking could be a little not theatrically possible,
Right.
but so.
This is where I was going on. Speaking of Lord of the Rings, ladies and gentlemen, we are on the end of the show here, right? And I skipped a gaming stream this morning so that way we could do this, which I was more than happy to. It was an amazing show. But later on today, I will be back on Twitch playing some Lord of the Rings in video game form because I am currently running through Shadow of Mordor. And I'm doing so much better in this version of the game than I was in the version the first time I played it, which was back in 2014 when the game came out. And I'm kicking ass right now. But I will be back on playing today, and kind of making my way through Mordor and killing orcs and everything like that. My character is pretty formidable right now. He's just killing all kinds of orcs. Right.
So you're cheating. That's how you're doing it. You're cheating.
I am not cheating because you're supposed to kill all the orcs. The whole thing is I'm
doing it by cheating.
I'm learning now the way that you're supposed to fight in this game, where I was just getting my ass kicked all the time. I also realized that you can run from a fight. Right, because when I played it the first time, I thought, "Oh, if you're
you've become an elevated male. You realize that you can."
I don't, but see, I don't.
A fight.
I don't fully run away though. What I'll do is I'll run out of the immediate fight, climb up on like a ledge or something, and then take out like 4 or 5 guys with arrows, and then jump in and stealth kill somebody, and then just murder everybody else. So basically, I'm giving myself the high ground and Obi-Wan Kenobiing everybody.
You Kenobi them.
Yeah. The other thing is I'm also realizing the importance of gaining intel on the game, because like there's certain characters that you can interrogate and they'll give you like weaknesses of like the different orc captains. So in that way you can strategize in the fight and say, oh, this guy is susceptible to ranged attacks. So if I shoot him in the face with an arrow, he'll die instantly. Or this guy is afraid of Caragors, which are like these big, kind of like half dog, half cat beasts.
Like like dog cat.
They're like dog cats that like they get ridden by the orcs, by the Uruk, because they're Urukai. Then basically some of the Uruks will be like completely afraid of them, so you can like unleash them and they'll like run around and kill everything in sight, and that's like a way for you to like, you can scare them that way. Or the ones that are hard are more like the guys that are like, oh, I'm not afraid of anything. And the only like weakness they have is fighting them hand to hand in combat. You're good. And a lot of times they'll give them like super advantages where it'll be like, yeah, so you can only fight them hand to hand in combat, but they also won't give you a saving throw, which is like one of the things that you have in the game where like if they down you, then you have a chance to like save yourself, and you can.
Oh,
like,
that's very D&D.
Yeah. So if they'll have like certain ones that'll say they don't give saving throws to anyone they deem unworthy, which they believe that you're unworthy. So so it's like, oh, so I'm fighting this impossible captain now, so I basically have to make sure I go into it one-on-one, so I have to kill every orc within like a mile radius before I go.
Oh gosh. That's I don't know why you put yourself through that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that's the other thing is the higher the orc, the more points you get to upgrade your character. Right. So like if I'm fighting like if I fight like a level 3 orc captain, it only gives me like a couple of points versus I go and fight like a level 13 orc captain and they'll give me like 50 points, which is like, helps me upgrade my character. So I'm just like, okay, I need to fucking kill these high-end orc captains just so it can make me stronger. And I can, by the time I get to war chiefs, because the war chief, I remember that's where I got the first time I played it, is I got up to the war chiefs. By the time I get up to the war chiefs, then I'll be able to actually fight them. So it's,
right, exactly.
Because the war chiefs are fucking monstrous and they will like kill you with one swipe, with like one swing of their sword. So
yeah. Well, yeah, I just don't like that. I could never play that game. But see, I don't play those games. Like I just started replaying Dragon Age Origins,
Yeah.
and like we're getting to a spider part, so I can't play any further
You don't
because
even have to
I
take your
will
save.
not do the
Oh,
spiders.
yeah,
I
you can
won't
close
do
it
them
down.
in any of it. So I make other people fight the spiders for me. That's
Okay.
like
Chuck, come here and fight these spiders.
exactly. I may make him do that later.
Well, yeah, guys, that is it for us today. I just went on a rant even more, but yes, later on today on the Twitch channel, I will be playing more Shadow of Mordor. We will be getting down on all of that. She'll fight you for the death for that stance.
Yes, Aubrey will. Aubrey and I have very different opinions of that. Let's walk and talk for 15 chapters. I'm like, no, no. So,
Right.
yeah.
So I'll be playing that later on today, guys. Now tomorrow we will be back at 10 o'clock between myself, Jamez, and Frey. We will be doing the regular download, whole bunch of news, fun stuff, and rumors to go around. And then, of course, Thursday, Graveyard will be back, hopefully, depending on whether he's got to work or not. But Graveyard hopefully will be back Thursday night, and we'll be interviewing another person in the film industry. Specifically, his name is Kalani Hubbard, and he has an independent film out called Sky Hoshi, which is about a anime character that comes to our world, and it's basically an action comedy. And looking at like the trailers and stuff, actually the martial arts looks actually kind of fun. So we'll see. We'll be talking about that with Kalani Hubbard. It's going to be a good time.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Right. Outside of that, guys, that is it from us today. It is now time for the dance party. Actually, before I do the dance party, Frey, where can people find you outside of the distance nerding sphere?
Oh, you can find me on my channel, Frey Girl. On YouTube, we are doing the journals of the classes currently, and we're starting up season 2 of Classified soon. I'm also on Kyber Cave. Currently, the shows that I'm on are on hiatus right now. So when they're started back up, we will be doing them again. And I'm on Discord. You guys can find me on Discord. You can follow me on Instagram. I do tend to post weird stuff on Instagram and TikTok. Really gal the corgi on TikTok and on Instagram. There's tons of stuff on my dog. So if you are fans of my animals, which everybody seems to be, definitely follow Gal the Corgi. If you don't know where that is, just look on my Instagram because I follow all of them just in case. But yeah, that's me. Yeah. So I don't know what else. I'll be at Gem State. If you guys want to come say hi, definitely come say hi. I will be there, and I'll probably be either blissed out or anxiety filled. Either way, I would love to say hello.
As we all will be. All right. Well, that is it from us today, guys. It is time for the dance party, and I thank you all for joining us. We will see you later. And guys, as always, thanks, and keep nerding together. We'll see you later.
Nerd together.
Distance nerding.
Yerby mateys! I be Pirate Pole, and I be ready to orgy poop deck. Yar!
I love the poop deck. See everybody tomorrow.
Bye, everybody.